Hey, hey, hey. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody is doing well. I almost canceled tonight, of course. I don't know why I keep doing that. Be like, ugh, I don't want to do it. I don't know why it's getting so hard for me to do these shows. I guess I'm just getting tired of I don't know. Just getting burnt out, I guess. Need something new. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm doing really good today. Man, I had an incident that happened this week. Actually, Saturday. I rode my bike right Saturday. And it was such a life changing event that happened. I almost wasn't even here telling you. Sometimes people don't watch and they don't watch and watch where they're going. So we were riding to Myrtle Beach, and which is a pretty good little ride. I hadn't rode on my bike to Myrtle Beach before, and I said, "Well, let me go and see, what it is. Let's see how, it was a group of us, maybe about four of us, right?" So it was supposed to rain, but it was raining in my area, but it wasn't raining down there. So I said, well, let's leave early. We left early about 9. We got down there. It rained a little bit, and by the time, hey, forecast, by the time we got to where we were going, it started raining just a little bit, right? So by the time we pulled over to put on our rain suits, it stopped. So that was pretty cool. So we didn't get really rained on. And then on the way back, we stayed down here, man. We went down to Boardwalk. We ate, we swept. It was so much fun. It was had so much fun. So on the way back, we left there maybe about 10:30, riding our bikes, right? So it was a group of us, so it was okay. So about 10:30, and it started, well, we put on our rain gear, and it was cool for a minute, and then it started raining just a little bit, and then it stopped. Seemed like we was riding out of it. So my bike got down to like maybe 3, 4 bars. Hey, delusional idiot. So my bike got down to 4 bars, right? And I said, okay, when my bike get down to 4 bars, I'm gonna tell somebody, we had already agreed that I was gonna, tell somebody and let them know that we need to pull over, right? Because their bikes are bigger than mine, and my bike would, I guess lose fuel fast because it was a smaller bike. I have a 900 Triker, right? And they have like the bigger bikes, the spiders, right, which is super cool. That's what I really like, but I really like my small bike because I get to run really fast with it. So anyway, so we was so my, we got 3 wheels. So I'm in the I got in this lane. Nobody was out there. It was solely dark. It was nobody but us. We had already passed a trailer, a huge semi trailer. We'd already passed him, and we was riding. We was going maybe about 70. So I got up there to the lead, right? And I'm in the lane, like the second, well, it was 2 lanes. It was 2 lane highway. So I'm in the lane talking to her, and I'm like, hey, pull over. The next exit only got 4 bars, right? So she goes, Cassie, like this, do me like this. And I'm like, what? So I'm looking at her, and I hear this truck go, blowing his horn. I'm in the fucking lane. Where are you going? You can't go anywhere but on the side of the road because I'm in the lane. I don't know if he was asleep. My girlfriend was like, Cassie, to see what was going on from the back, I knew that truck was going to run you over. I didn't even see the truck. He just came out of nowhere. And I'm thinking he was asleep. But do you know where the part of the road goes? Blah, 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 you're on the edge where it's like the bumpy, da, 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 it makes that noise and it's grass. That fool was riding over there trying to pass me. Who does that? Who does that? Who does that? I don't understand that. And I'm looking at her, and she's like, her mouth is on the ground because all she could see was this truck coming up. And she said, I didn't want to scare you because I didn't want you to run it because I was literally so close to him that I could feel his wind, his air. That's how close I was to him. And I was so upset. I was so upset. I ain't told nobody. Well, I'm telling people now, but this was something that I was like, oh my God, that was a life changing moment. I swear I thought I was gone. I mean, and I was thinking back on it, and I'm like, he had to be asleep. This was an 18 wheeler. They would have rolled on top of me. I was like, oh, are we serious here? I'm like, you can't even have fun without people just being careless. You're right. That's crazy. That's you. Yeah, I'm telling you, you're looking at a woman that almost wasn't here today. I'm serious. Almost wasn't here. And that's because somebody was driving that was tired, that was trying to make his money, and almost darn near, you're in my lane. I'm in my lane, right? You was on the side of the lane. I just knew his truck was, and I was hoping that it would dump over, right? I was hoping this truck was just gonna fall over in the grass, but I didn't get that wish. But I was hoping it, But I'm like, that's so stupid, and I was like so shook. I was like, and I kept thinking, man, I could have been that y'all would have been coming to my funeral, or maybe not. I'm just saying, y'all would have been like, "Where's Cassie? Where's Cassie?" But that was so crazy and so weird. And I just want to tell y'all need to make sure that you are living your best life. Just have fun, be serious, and just do everything right now. Everything you want to do it, and have fun doing it. Have fun. Don't settle for less. Love on your family members and have fun. You got to love now, love today, and just live your best life. If you want to do something, now is why are we waiting for later? Now is the best time to do it. Now is the very best time to do it. It's so worth it. It's so worth it because I could have not been here. I would could have been. I'm telling you, if that truck had hit me, he would have rolled. He was going at least 80. I was already going 70. So he had to be, he probably was going faster than that. So, he would have rolled over my little body and kept going. I'm just saying, I would have been not here because he was going so fast. I would have probably instantly died because of the speed he was going. He was going and coming up on my bike and I'm like, I didn't even see him. I swear I didn't. It was nobody in that lane. That's why I was in that lane. And plus, it's my lane. You don't have room to go around me. That's illegal. You're on the side, and then you trying to pass somebody on the expressway because you sleep. I was coming from Myrtle Beach. But I'm going to tell you what. I'm telling you, if I had a lift, Lord have mercy, all his tires would have been shot out. I swear, forecast, all his tires would have been shot out. I swear, if he had a tapped my bike, I'm just going to say, let me just stop. But I'm telling you, it was just so creepy. It was so weird. And it was just jacked up. It was just, I'm telling you, just whatever you guys want to do. Life is so short. And I left home, didn't even think nothing was going. I was nervous, but I thought I was nervous because I didn't want to I didn't want to be out in the rain, and I didn't want to get rained on. That's not even the reason I was nervous. I was nervous because that incident that was going to happen, but I never thought that was a reason to be nervous. Not like that. I was just like thinking I was nervous. I was a little antsy. I was nervous. And I was like, man, is this something I need to do or what's going on? And I was really aware of my feelings, but I didn't understand that was going to be a very close night. But I'm telling you, when I'm riding my bike, I'm always praying. All right, angels, I don't know who on here don't pray or whatever, but when I'm on my bike, I'm always praying. Okay, angels got me. I was like, cover the back to the front, cover all of us. I'm talking to my angels because I believe in angels, and I believe we have angels that are with us. I do believe that. And I was talking to my angels all day, literally all day. It was raining. We was going, we weren't speeding, but if it would get too bad, we were slowing down, right? And I'm always, hey, angels, you got me. And I'm talking to them all day. But I'm just saying, it was just so freaky for no reason, just because somebody was sleepy and didn't want to pull over. Life is too short for you to risk your life and somebody else's. I'm just saying. What a who? What, Sister Cooks? What? Half the most. Yeah. He should have pulled over because that could have been a life lost. And for what? For absolutely no reason. And it would have been painful too. I was like, God, that thing would have been painful. It's not funny. But I was thinking about that. I was like, that truck would have hurt. You have all of this body and nothing's covering me, and it's a bike. And you got all of this that you got to hit first, and you wouldn't even hurt the bike. Well, it probably would have hurt the bike, but it would have hurt me more because you got skin. I had nothing. It wasn't no covering, and that truck was going. He had to be going at least 80. He was going really fast, right? In the rain. So, he was surprised to be on that. I know he was surprised, but he had to be woke enough to get over there because I was in the lane. He had to go around me, so he was around me on that side there in the grass. And I thought the way he was passing me, the truck was going to tip over because it was like, he was leaning in because you're on the grass end, so. But I wish I had Wall was over there for his behind. No, I ain't gonna say that because I probably got ran over there. So I better not say that. I take that back. So, but yeah, okay, man. I tell you, it was just like, woof, that is life changing. And I thought, you know what? let me revamp some things. It makes you think about the future, and it makes you think about some things that you've been kind of, like, well, but it makes you want to do better. It makes you want to do something different. It makes you almost want to just revamp everything that you've ever thought or dreamed, or just making sure that you're on the right path. And that's for me is where I'm at right now. Just making sure that I'm doing what I was born to do, that I'm doing what I love to do, and I'm having fun doing it. I refuse to work somewhere I'm not happy. I refuse to be somewhere I'm not happy. I refuse to be and I refuse to just be around people that's not happy, because I'm telling you, um, yeah, it is a blessing. It is, because I almost wasn't here. Seriously, that's how close. Because my girlfriend, she was in the back, because there was four of us ladies, and she was like, Cassie, just to look at that truck, and I'm seeing, and to see it from the back where she was hollering, no, she's like you can hear me, and I'm telling you, it would have been traumatizing for all of them, because they would have saw something that would have been really, and I just thank God that God saw fit to leave me here. I'm just saying, because it would have been really nasty, and it would have been really painful. I keep thinking about the pain that I would have been feeling, or felt for a minute, okay, in the midst of him running me over, but I just am very grateful that he saw fit to just leave me here, because I figured I still do have work to do, right? So I got up Monday, and I went to the schools. Was it yesterday? Yesterday. Got up yesterday, which was Tuesday. And I had, supposed to be later at work at 11 instead of 8. So I was able to go to the schools, and I talked to a couple of the principals about getting them in, and they said they would get back to me. I still have not heard from the school board, which I don't expect to, but I'm going to, shoot them some more emails. I was just giving them time. I said I'll give them 30 days, and I'll shoot them more. But in the meantime, I'm just catching up with the schools, and I'm going to go to different schools. So that's what I'm doing right now. But I did talk to a young lady who's a realtor, and I actually need to send out some paperwork, and she's going to be looking for a couple of properties for me to have my inmates who come transition out. They'll have a place to go. Okay. Also, it was something else I was going to say. Um, There's something else I was doing. I forgot. Yeah, whatever. It'll come back to me. But yeah, so I got some things in the fire, just trying to make sure that I'm doing what I were put on this earth to do. And I really loved the talk yesterday, that on Bakari's show with the young man, and he kept saying that we're doomed, we're doomed. And I'm like, no, dude, you're doomed, and got mad because we didn't take his side of the story. He said, that's true. No, that's your truth. You're doomed. I'm not doomed, because I could have been doomed the other day. I'm not living that doom and gloom life. I promise you, I'm not doomed nothing, because I could have been doomed, but God said no. So I have to walk in what He has planned for me, and what He created me to walk in. And if everybody else is doing the same thing, then we're not doomed, because we're building. We are builders. The people that want to build, we build. And no, and I don't understand this doom and gloom. Time we doomed. So what are you going to do? Nothing. Didn't sound like he was doing nothing but hollering, we doomed. But what else are you going to do? You're doomed. So what hope do you have? I still have hope. I have a whole lot of hope from the other night. I'm just saying, because I didn't have to be here. This could have been an empty chair. This computer could have been empty. I'm telling you. So I have to get busy, because I know I still have things to do. And I know that he left me here for a reason. And oh yeah, I have a guy. I'm telling you, I met a guy at work. He just started, and he just quit today. So I met him for this very reason. His wife works for the city, and I got in touch with her. So I'm telling you, people, God will bring people into your life that know people and know people. So talking to her, I gave her an email. I sent all of my materials to her, let her know what I'm doing. She said she works for the city, and they have a program, so I'm going to apply for this program, right? And she said, I'm going to keep my eyes open for you, because it's an amazing program. So who knows what's going to come out of that, because he's not there anymore. I guess he went to the doctor and got some bad news. So he quit today. He can't work. So I met his wife, and I'm glad I did. Yeah, I'm glad I met him, because who knows, maybe that was why he was there, just so that I can meet his wife, so that she can, help me to get to the rest of the way where I need to be. So I'm just saying, we meet people for a reason, and I didn't meet his wife for no reason. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And those are people that do nothing. You're right. Kaminsky or whatever his name was. He's a do nothing. He is I think he's one of Brandon's people. I don't know, but I'm not going to sit up there and be talking doom and gloom. And then what are you doing? Because if you feel that you're doom and gloom, you're not doing anything. You're not going to do anything. You're not going to ever want to do anything. You're not going to feel like you can do anything because there's no hope. I don't feel like that. After the end of the night, there's a lot of hope because he left me here for a reason. I'm still figuring that reason out, and I'm hoping I'm doing what he put me on this earth to do, because I'm not going to not build. I'm a builder. I'm a business consultant. Me and my daughter were actually talking about the affirmative action, and her and I were talking tonight about the HBCUs and how much money they're getting ready to make if they're really smart. And her and I, we were just talking about some. She said, "Mommy, I wonder if they think about stuff like that." And I said, we were talking about how much money that they're going to make. And I said, I would rent another building for my doctors and my lawyers and my dentists. Okay, I would have a building for my doctors and my lawyers and my dentists. I would put them all in one building, right? And I would start hiring professors now. And I would tell them, you have 2 weeks to get me a building. And in the meantime, I'm going to start looking for professors that's going to teach my doctors and my lawyers and my dentists, because in those white schools, they're not going to let them in anymore. You know that affirmative action was for Black people and the Asians, right? But mostly Black people, right? So they don't have to let you in their Yales. They don't have to let you in their dentists, the schools of medicine and in the dentistry and the lawyer and all that stuff. They don't have to let you in the law schools anymore. So I will be ready to receive them into the HBCUs, and I would have a building ready and waiting for them. And I would start right now upgrading my curriculum and upgrading what I've been teaching them. I'm telling you, I would make these schools top notch. And if these HBCU presidents are not listening or they're not doing it, they're fools, because this is an opportunity for HBCUs to teach our own babies, for one, to make the most money they've ever made, and to create basketball. And I would have new coaches. I would have my coaches available, and I'll be pulling them students away from those white schools into the HBCUs, because guess what? White folk ain't going to want to watch Brad and Becky play football and basketball, right? They want to see them Black folk play football and basketball. And I'd have my coaches. I would hire me brand new coaches, 2 new coaches for football and basketball, and I would be ready to rock and roll. I'm telling you, when them HBCUs close their doors on them Black babies, that's baseball. And they're not. But my thing is, the parents can close the door and say, okay, since you don't want to do affirmative action, let's go up here to HBCUs. And I promote HBCUs. I'm serious. I will promote it. I'm telling you, man, they should, honey, I need to be a business consultant. I thought, when I retire, I'm going to create another forecast. I'm always doing something. I'm like, man, that's another part of my gift. I'm a business consultant. I'm serious. I could put together anybody's business and make it happen too. I'm telling you, it's just so amazing, and how you can sit here and think about ideas and think of what to do and how to bless folk. And folk don't even want it. They don't want it. They don't want it. You can sit up here and talk and do for people, and they'll sit there and look at you planning for their future, and they be like, I don't want that, or it's too hard to do that, or it's not time, or it makes them nervous for them to succeed. Anytime people see that they're getting ready to succeed, they can get iffy, and they can disappear, and they can fight against to their own detriment. They can fight against the growth, fight against the newness, and stay where they are and don't want to grow, and then be comfortable, and then years later be complaining why they're in a predicament they're in, when several people have had tried to help them to get out of that predicament and move into something else, and they won't. They don't want it. Yes, they did away. What are you being 88? You being 88? Time did they do away with affirmative action? And yeah, they did away with it. Yeah. They trying to do away with it in housing and everything. They trying to, honey, I'm going to tell you, I believe, and y'all can help me out. Maybe y'all don't believe this, but I believe that the reason why they're doing away with affirmative action is almost like God is bringing it back to the basics, back to where it never should have left, back to where we should have been all the time, separate and equal. Because we can pay our tax monies. But the sad part about it, we had everything that we want. We're getting back now. We had the schools, we had the hospitals, we had the clinics, we had the cabs, we had everything. We had our own neighborhoods, right? Excuse me. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know why I'm yawning. I always get on here. Sorry, y'all. We had everything that we needed, And all we had to do was put our tax money into it, put more money into it, put our taxes over here instead of putting them over there. And we could have built up our schools and built up our hospitals. Now we got to start over. And I was even thinking, when you get those HSBCUs, the doctors and the lawyers, the doctors and lawyers that graduate can open up clinics in the Black neighborhood and still make the money that they need to make, because we still work, we still have insurance, and they can let our Black women do the doulas and the midwives, and they can have those babies right at the clinics and have maybe 15 rooms for now, and then grow upon that. And then maybe later you put another layer on that building, and you that do 15 more rooms, then you build more. You know what I'm saying? So we got to start somewhere. They can't be equal to us. Ours always turned out better. You right. You are so right, Forecast. You are so right. But you understand what I'm saying? You see, we don't think about the growth. We don't think about what we can be building right now. We could be so amazing right now building in these clinics, and when the hospitals and the doctors get done with the schools, instead of them going to those toxic hospitals and those toxic schools like Yale, that where they get harassed. I've heard of a Nigerian doctor that said that he was the head. They made him the director, the head over the hospital. Uh, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, y'all. I'm tired. I don't know why. Well, I've worked really hard today. I don't know if I'm gonna make it tonight. But he was a Nigerian, and he was director over one of their clinics and hospitals, right? Department. And he said he faced so much racism. And I'm like, you know what? Instead of us getting out of school and going over there and working in their white hospitals, we need Black clinics. We need clinics. We need our own hospitals. We need our own. Even if we start low, we start slow, we start somewhere, start small and build our way up. You know what I'm saying? And that's all we have to do. Once we get those 15 rooms filled, you turning them out in 2 days, turning them out, have babies, turn them out, have babies, turn them out in 2 days. I'm just saying, and then that'll be you building up your funds to be able to either expand it or build 15 more rooms. I'm just saying, it's things that we can do as Black folk. We start right here putting our monies together. I'm just saying, but we first got to start building our own cities now. Buy some land, get 100 acres, get 10 families, 20 families to buy 100 acres of land, just like the other Black folk did. I wonder how that family is doing. I would love to take a ride to Georgia, and I wish somebody in Georgia would just ride down there and do a video on how they doing. How's that land doing? Is it just sitting, or are they building, or what are they doing? I just wish that would happen, or maybe somebody will win somebody and give somebody. Oh, Lord, I'm so sleepy. I'm tired, y'all. I don't know about y'all. I keep yawning. I'm really tired. I had a rough day today. But I'll try to get on the subject now, you guys. Sorry. I had to tell y'all about my little weekend, my near-death experience. Near death. I'm telling you, that is so weird to say. I wanted to talk about our little boys, our little men, but I want to show you guys something. Let's not forget this here. Let me show my screen. I'm going to share my screen. I really did know. I know what I wanted to say, but I couldn't really find any videos on what I wanted to say and how I wanted to do it. So I hope that. Hold on, let me see. I'm hoping I'm going to share it the right screen. Hold on, let me see. Where is it? Oh, yeah. There we go. There we go. I had to bring it up. Y'all know I had to bring my little thing on my little baby, right? Don't forget, we do have our foundation, and we have, where is this? Get out of here. We just have to get out there. Of course, we do have merchandise. We have shirts. Hey, you guys, everybody should buy a shirt. We got next. I'm getting a couple more shirts made. And Yet We Rise. That's what it's going to be called. And Yet We Rise. Shirts made. We're going to talk about that. Oh, Miss Vita. Hi, Raw. How you doing? I cannot see you on my live unless because I'm at backstage now. Welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Well, this is it. I want to make sure that you guys can see it. And this is the cups. We have cups. We got next. We got next. So I'll be wearing my little cup. I be not wearing my cup. I'll be wearing my little shirt, y'all, all the time, right? And then we got, of course, you have a book. We have a book, okay, A Mother's Love, and we have the journal. And we're talking about some services that we're offering. And here's the mentorship program that we are bringing into fruition eventually when I can get in those schools. Because like I said, I did try talk to a couple of principals this week, and maybe tomorrow I'll get up and go to another couple other Black schools, really in the neighborhood, and just spread out this mentorship program, because the guy that I work with, his wife, right? She works for the city. So the money that the programs they're looking for is mentorship programs. So we actually already have a mentorship. We just never really, we just really didn't operate in it, but we're getting ready to bring it to fruition now, right? So I wanted to show you guys that. And yes, we do take donations. And thank you. I appreciate Miss Vita. She comes through. And I appreciate everybody that has come through. And I appreciate each and every one of you guys because you didn't have to come through, but you saw fit too. And I appreciate that. Okay. I really appreciate you guys coming through for me. But I didn't really know where to go with this, Our Boys Rise. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about um, back in the 70s. I think Forecast showed a little bit of this before, of the little boys and how, hold on, excuse me, how the education part went, as far as them educating people. And wanting to, Zavita Abrams, thank you. Wanted to just make sure that we mention Miss Davita Abrams. Appreciate the donation. She donated some money to Ram in the Bush, and we appreciate it. And what I'm going to use it for is just like people that are in need, and that come to the foundation and needing um, money for whatever reason, rather than being gas money, because I deal with a lot of felons, and sometimes they just don't have anything. When they first come out of prison, they have absolutely nothing, which I think is very unfair. They should let them go with at least a stipend or something, but they just let them go and hope and pray that they're coming back. And a lot of them want to come back, and a lot of them end up coming back because them not being able to make it. Um, them not being able to make it, that's the sad part about it. You understand what I'm saying? And they come out with nothing, and they need to redo their license. They need to redo stuff that they, license, and a whole lot of other stuff that they need, that they can't even get because they don't have the money to do it. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just so that was a blessing for me to be able to get that donation. It was really amazing, and I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Kind of just wanted to just show my little baby off. I love this. This is my little baby right here. I'm so proud of little Ram in the Bush. I am. Look at her. I tell you, welcome to Ram in the Bush. That's my baby right there. Okay. So of course that's my little commercial break right there. I know y'all say, but she's something else. Um, I have something I want to show you. I'm hoping I'm not gonna get dinged tonight for this, but kind of wanted to I want to listen to a little bit of this, the language that they're not taught. What languages are our boys not taught? Let's listen to a little bit of this, and I'm hoping and praying I don't get dinged here, but let's just look and listen to a little bit of it and see what he's talking about and see what he's going to say.
First, Kanye West had just released his debut album.
Oh, Lord.
Would you be interested in
Really?
collecting five-figure
How you going to just pop your ugly stuff on my screen? Get off. Get out of here.
Dropout.
You little ugly son.
Second, I was graduating from the 8th grade and heading into high school. I was so influenced by Kanye at the time that I even wore a pink polo shirt to my graduation. It's a
Mm,
little cringe when I look back on it now, but I thought I was killing the game then.
I like his hair.
After the graduation ceremony, my dad pulled me to the side and he said he had to share something with me. Now, in my young 8th grade mind, I'm thinking, okay, he got me a surprise. Maybe it's some new sneakers, or maybe it's the new NBA Live that features Vince Carter on the cover. Now, what he had for me, it was a surprise, but it wasn't the surprise I was expecting. He pulled me to the side and he said this. He said, here's what's going to happen over the next few years while you matriculate through high school. Some of your friends are going to drop out. Some of the girls are going to get pregnant. Some of your friends are going to prison. Some of your friends are going to die. And I remember thinking, like, man, you just killed my celebration. Like, that was super extreme. But what he was attempting to do was prepare me for what would inevitably happen. And looking back, I don't fault him for this. Like, I understand, because here's the reality. He too was never exposed to safe spaces, and he never learned the language of emotional fluency. And I'm a firm believer that you cannot teach what you do not know.
That's right.
So, quick question. How many of you are familiar with this image right here? Few. So, what this is actually a screenshot from a viral video that was a few years ago. The boy in the blue shirt was then 6-year-old Noah. The boy in the white shirt is his younger brother, 4-year-old Corey. So let me explain what's happening right here. Corey is on the verge of an emotional explosion, literally. Reason being, his Nintendo Switch had just ran out of batteries. Major crisis, right? Noah realized what Corey was going through, and he stepped into that space as his older brother to create a space for Corey to feel his emotions.
Wow.
See, what Noah understood was that if he could create a space where Corey would feel those emotions, he could then walk him through an exercise to help him change his state. And he did just that. So within a matter of minutes, Corey was back smiling and having a good time. And what could have been a moment for an emotional explosion actually turned into a practical lesson on safe space creation, as well as emotional fluency. And guess where Noah learned this from? His mother, Ashley West, who regularly practiced mindfulness and meditation practices with her boys. So before we move forward, I don't want to assume that you already know this. So let's briefly define what a safe space is, as well as emotional fluency. A safe space is a place or an environment where a person or collective of people can feel confident that they won't be exposed to emotional or physical harm. Emotional fluency is being able to sense, translate, and express those emotions in a healthy and productive manner. It was now 2008. I managed to make it through those last 4 years of high school after experiencing everything that my dad shared with me prior. My focus was basketball as well as clubs, and they served as scapegoats from any emotional traumas or pitfalls that I would fall in.
Let me help y'all. Do you guys really understand what's going on here? I'm still on this Black family thing, right? And I know we're talking about the rise of our young Black men, but I wanted to show you how important a dad is in a boy's life and how important it was for his dad to do what he did to kind of help him to understand what he was getting ready to go through and what he was going to experience and how to handle it. And that's what our boys are not getting right now. That's not what our boys are not getting right now. I want to show you something else. We're going to come back to this, but I want to show you something else that I saw that I think is really good for this moment right now. Let me see, which one is it? Is it this one or this one? Hold on. It's developing stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to see which one I want to do. I don't know which one. I think it's this one. I think it's this one. I don't know which one I want to show. Oh, Jesus. Hold on. I don't know which one it is.
And now, here is Dr. Jawanza Kanjufu with his penetrating presentation of countering the conspiracy to destroy Black boys.
Hold on, that might be it. Hold on, no. Hold on. I think this is it. Okay, this is the one I think. Here it is. Hold on, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
They have not taught them what's correct. They're taught them to be inconsistent. I repeat, children are actors, and they act out what they see in us. And I believe my workshops can be informative, but they cannot change attitude, and I'm very disappointed about that. I work hard with regards to research, but certain things cannot be changed, especially with regards to attitude. What am I getting at? As we begin to look at trying to close the gap or improve Black student achievement, my major concern is you cannot teach a child that you do not love. And there are large numbers of children in classrooms where they are not loved. I also believe you cannot teach a child you do not respect. And there are large numbers of Black children in classrooms where they are not respected. And then last but not least, I also believe you cannot teach a child you do not culturally understand. In other words, we have integration, or should I be clear, desegregation. But we have many teachers who do not understand the culture of Black children. And you cannot teach a child you do not culturally understand. The program is called Closing the Gap, trying to close the gap between Black and white student achievement, trying to increase Black student achievement. For example, the average white European child on the Iowa California test is scoring at the 60th percentile nationwide. The average white European child in America on the Iowa California test is scoring at the 60th percentile nationwide. The average Black African American child on the same test is scoring at the 30th percentile nationwide.
Why do you think that's true? Do we understand? Do you remember we talked a little bit about the affirmative action? We talked about HBCUs. Do we understand why it's how important it is to build up our Black boys? Because our Black babies go through so much hell with dealing with these white teachers, dealing with the society, dealing with the schools, dealing with the principals, dealing with just people that we know that are against our Black babies. But I blame the parents. Now we got to come back to the parents, because the parents don't understand how dangerous it is for their Black boys to be taught by these white cave people, whether it be male or female, because neither one like your child. But you have the audacity to continue allowing people that don't love your children to educate your children, because you think they're getting a better education, because you think white is right, because you think, oh, they're in a better school. No, what's really happening in that school is they're tearing your Black child down. They're making him feel less than a person. And what they have to say. Why do you think white teachers every day on the first day of school will go around the classroom and ask every Black child, child period, that they really want to hear the Black boys, what he wants to be, so that they can tear that down? Because I have a friend, right? And we always used to talk, and he said, Cassie, you know what? He always brought up this teacher, right? I don't know how we happened to get on this subject, but we talked about, when we were smaller in class. And he said, I had this one teacher, and I remember I was in her class, and I told her I wanted to be I can't even remember, a fireman, or he wanted to be something. And the teacher told him, no, Black men are blah, 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 blah. And he said, I took that, and look at me. He said, I didn't pursue whatever it was. I can't even think what it was. He said, I didn't pursue it because a person that I saw that was in authority over me told me I couldn't do it. He said, I probably would have went for it. He said, I probably would have went for it. And I'm going to tell you how true that is, because my oldest, her dad died, right? Before he died, I remember her going to him and said, Daddy, I think she wanted to own a hospital. It was something really. And he told her something, and that kind of blew that dream. He told her, he kind of said, well, that's a big dream. And, why don't, he really discouraged her in that area. Right. And I was like, why did you say that? Why didn't you just tell her that she can do whatever she wanted to do? It was just all about preparation. But he, sometimes things are. But anyway, so when a person is in authority over you, they have a lot of control over your outcome. They have a lot of control over your thinking. They have a lot of control of your words that are coming out of your mouth. Because if somebody come to you and say, oh, I want to do so-and-so, so-and-so, and somebody break that bubble, that's going to be like, oh my God, okay, maybe I can't do blah, blah, blah. So instead of you really going after what you just said you wanted, you're going to change it and say, okay, well, maybe I can't have this, so I'm going to settle for this. And that's what our babies are doing right now. They're settling because somebody has told them and showed them that they're not important, that what you want is not important. Doesn't matter what you want. This is what we're giving you. This is what we deserve. This is what you deserve. This is what we expect from you. And this is how hard. And we're going to expect you not to hit back when one of these little white kids hit you, because guess what? You hit back, you get suspended, right? Right? Come on now. But let the white kid hit you, and they can hit you all day long. And you go tell a teacher, and they turn their head and act like they don't hear, act like they don't see, right? So I'm just trying to get us to the point where we are we have to get back to really understanding what it's going to take for our babies to get us back on track. And here it is right here, developing positive self-images in Black children. That's really what I wanted to talk about, because I wanted to go at it a different angle. And I said, you know what? How do we help our boys to rise? By developing positive self-images in our Black children. Let's continue on. I'm going to just do a little bit more of this one, then I want to do another one that he has. So I'm going to give you a little taste of all of it, okay? So let's continue. Let's continue.
Now, what explains this 30-point differential? There are at least 5 different reasons, and I'm in trouble if you give me more than the 5 I'm looking for. But there are at least 5 reasons for this gap. What do you think contributes to this differential between the average white child scoring the 60th percentile on the Iowa and California test and the average Black child scoring the 30th percentile on the same test? What are some of the reasons? Okay, and your first name is? Shirley. Can you get a water break because you answered so quickly? So Shirley, I think it's number 4 on my list, and that's the cultural bias of the test. And Shirley, I like to call that the curriculum, not just the test, but the curriculum in terms of their cultural biasness. I want to also look at the issue of methodology, learning styles, and I want to look at what you just mentioned, and that's the evaluation design, the test itself. Any other reasons besides the curriculum, methodology, evaluation design? Any others? Yes. First name?
Gwen.
Gwen.
Perhaps expectations
From whom?
from the teacher.
Okay, very honest group, Gwen. Gwen, that's number 5 on my list. It's not that I place in this category because of its significance or importance. I simply want to save the best for last. I want to talk about everybody else first, and then we'll begin to talk about you. So Gwen, we'll be getting to you in a few minutes. Any others? Yes, first name?
Richard.
Richard.
Expectations from the parents.
Okay, and Richard, that's number 2 on my list. Parental involvement and support. I was wondering if this group would blame the one we love to blame the most. That's the parents. First name?
Lois.
Lois.
I think the child's expectations.
And Lois, do you mind if we also connect that to self-esteem for students?
Oh, she in the
Okay,
room.
so in this case, we're looking at student self-esteem. Now, there's one more, there's probably a lot more, but the other one that we have to have in order to continue, and that's why we have it in the number 1 position. It's so easy so difficult to identify, and that's the peer group. We are very concerned about the peer group. Now, I'm very proud of this particular group because in most workshops across the country, beside these 4, and the one we were also looking for was the peer group, many times people say, well, it's ability. There's at least 1 or 2 persons in this audience that believe it's ability. And then every once in a while, we get someone who also looks at the environmental factors, racism, economic deprivation, sexism. And we acknowledge that. There's no way in the world that these stats are not also affected by economic deprivation and racism and sexism. But see, in an hour workshop like this, we may not be able to change how Ronald Reagan thinks, or David Rockefeller, or Caspar Weinberger. We may not be able to change what white men make, $403 a week, and Black women make about $234. We may not be able to change that, but we can change the influence of the peer group, parental involvement, student self-esteem, the curriculum, teacher expectation. At least we can make an attempt at that. Now, as I said earlier, there's at least 1 person in this room that may think it's ability. I want to pause and look at this. Because if it's ability, then Black colleges, independent Black schools, the Effective Schools Project, magnet schools cannot produce a quality product. If it was ability, then Black colleges that only receive 25% of the students, but produce 50% of the graduates cannot produce that kind of product. And if you think they're inferior, those students that go on to graduate training at white universities and receive their degrees, 75% of them receive their undergraduate training in a Black undergraduate school. So if it was ability, the same ability that other schools work with, then Black colleges, independent Black schools, magnet schools cannot produce a quality product. It is not ability. And since we cannot change environmental factors, let's now look at the other 5. Peer group, parental involvement, student self-esteem, the curriculum, and teacher expectations. We apologize for going as fast as we are. We're condensing a 6-hour workshop into about an hour. And the first area I want to look at is the issue of the peer group. What we're concerned with here is that we believe that schools are more than academic institutions. They are also social institutions. In other words, very few of us have been trained on monitoring the peer group. And yet this may be one of our greatest competitors or influences on the minds of our children. It has gotten so bad that when Black boys want to do a good job in school, they're labeled sissies. It's gotten so bad when Black youth want to do a good job in school, they're called, you're trying to act white. And that's deep in 2 areas. First of all, here we are, the people that built the pyramids, first to read and write. And yet now we're going to attribute academic achievement to another race. That's problem number 1. But problem number 2, do you know how much pressure is on our youth trying to, on the one hand, please their peer group that has one set of values, and then please you, teachers and parents, with another set of values? A tremendous amount of pressure is on them. And we have to begin to understand that pressure. We are very much concerned about the Jackie Robinson syndrome. In other words, in a class of 30, we'll have our 1 or 2 Black students in our gifted and talented programs, our honors programs, our AP programs. In other words, the Jackie Robinson syndrome all over again. In other words, we're going to take our 1 or 2 top Black students and put them in the class up 30 students. Do you know what it's like being the Jackie Robinson of the class? And your peer group teasing you for being in there, and you have to be the only 1 or 2 in that kind of class? There are some other school districts who are trying to close the gap that realize if they want to increase the odds, stabilize Black student achievement, 1 or 2 is not enough. In other words, some schools are now looking at, let's say, having 10 to 15 students in that kind of setting. So they can reinforce it, not just academically, but also socially. Again, a tremendous amount of pressure, being the only 1 or 2 in the class. And you know what, some insensitive teachers in a setting like this, when they have to discuss a Black issue, they ask the Black child, well, what do you think about that? Do you know what it's like being the only Black child, having to be the authority on all Black issues, and you don't want to be Black, no way, no how? A tremendous amount of pressure. So we want to increase the odds.
Do we really understand the dangers and the harm that we as parents have done to our children over the years, putting them in a white and totally white environment because we're thinking it's a better environment? But it's more of a dangerous environment, and it's a more of a self-esteem environment, because look at our children right now. We can see the damages that it's done by us putting our children in a mostly white environment. You could even see the damage of you working in a white environment at work. You can see the damages as far as when you live in a predominantly white area. Are you really happier? Is it really better? The answer is no, it's not. It's always better to be around your own. It's always better because everybody made pretty much the same money, right? So it wasn't about us trying to compete. It was about us learning from each other, learning from our own. But we had teachers that cared, right? So do we really understand, even with us on these jobs, right? That we think, oh man, I'm making so and so amount. I've made more. But what are you really, at what cost? At what cost? Hey, William, Wild Williams, welcome. At what cost are you really, what's it really costing you to have your child in an all-white school? Let me just tell an example. I seen this charter school, right? And it was an all-white charter school. And every now and then you'll see a Black here and there, right? So I was looking at this little Black boy in the charter school, and he was playing by himself. He was just, just like, and I'm looking at the white kids, and I'm looking at how they was in their little groups, and he was by himself. Do you think that's bad or good for your child to be the only Black in the school? Everybody else has their nick and their natch, and they're playing with their own, right? And he's by himself. But the parents think, oh my God, my boy is going to this charter school. It's all white. Oh, he getting the best education. What's he getting? The best abuse? The best PTSD? Come on now. I'm just saying. We're not understanding this. It's not always best because it's white. Because we can take our tax money and we can build on what we need to build on. Okay? Just like our medical doctors, just like our lawyers, our doctors, and our dentists. We need to start setting up places for them. And Black doctors need to come back into the community because we work. We can go to our own Black doctors. And guess how much money our Black doctors would make? And you're running white doctors out of business. I'm just saying, especially for the childbirth, okay? Because in white doctors, they're making no money off childbirth because they're not reproducing. But let's go on. I'm going to try to get on to a part where he is. I'm trying to see if I can get on. Well, let's just see what happens.
We have to increase the number of students in those classes because schools are more than academic institutions. They are also social institutions as well. And in other words, we are illustrating where our priorities are. We want to change that priority. We've got to find ways to infiltrate the peer group, to get them all involved in both academic at your school. Then what I recommend you do, like what St. Louis is doing, is have a central role model program. So we begin to bring in Black role models on a regular basis. So we don't want to take the white teacher out of class, but if he or she has to stay there, then we want every week or at least once a month, role models coming in so our youth can see Black achievers. And we need to centralize that kind.
Is that what's happening now? When the last time has your child learned about a Black role model? in a white school? When was the last time that they talked about anybody Black besides Rosa Parks? I'm sure it was a whole slew of other Black folk that did some great stuff besides Rosa Parks. Okay, we're not saying they did that. They don't. But we think that these schools are better for our children. We think that them educating our children, they really learning something. If I keep telling you that if these schools were any good, our children would never have been allowed to be in them. You have to understand how these snow people operate. If it's anything good, your child won't be allowed there. But it's anything for your child's detriment or to hold your child back. Oh, the door is open, just like with the shot. Remember? It was free, wasn't it? Something that wasn't good for you was free. That ought to tell you something. But I digress. Let me see.
For school, after school, or some break, pull him or her over to the side and try to inculcate your value system into theirs. Then they will begin to proselytize the other parts of the peer group. We have got to get more of the peer group buying into our value system. You see, the peer group does not have to be negative. It can also be positive. The question is, which value system they're going to promote. We have to begin to look at those kinds of issues. And so we recommend these kinds of strategies for the peer group. We recommend that, first of all, we begin to put more priorities on our academic achievement over athletic achievement. We also recommend moving away from the varsity approach to the intramural approach. We recommend that you identify who the leaders are. We recommend we bring in more role models to our program, provide pep rallies for academic achievement. But my major concern here is that schools are more than academic institutions. They are also social institutions. It is sad to say this, but you could have been doing your job. Parents could have been doing their job. And it all go for naught because the Black and Hispanic peer group are reinforced what kind of gym shoes they wear, what kind of clothes they wear, how well they fight or dance, and not academic achievement. This is not theoretical. I was in honors classes when I was in high school, and I was so influenced by my peer group. I flunked the whole marketing period intentionally, trying to get kicked out. Had it not been for my father, who then kicked my butt, I'd had some very serious problems realizing his size 11 on my rear end was more important than my peer group. But let me give you a secret. When you want to reinforce academic achievement, especially for Black boys, it becomes suicidal if he's not also involved in the martial arts. In other words, I was still in honors programs, but I was allowed to run track and also martial arts because my peer group did not respect my honors achievement, but they did respect my martial arts belt. We have to begin to look at those kinds of areas. Before we move on to the next area with regards to parents, any comments about the peer group? Its tremendous impact on academic achievement. Any comments or questions? You got 30 seconds, so I'm moving on. Yes, sir. First name?
Michael.
Michael.
What can teachers do to influence this in the context of
Basis. That's support. Now, I know you want the printed flyer. And then, now, of course, let me be honest. There were in other words, parents,
I'm trying to find
41% of all the special ed children. Now, 17 doesn't equal 41. And it gets worse. If a Black child's gonna be labeled EMR, LD, BD, 85% of the time, is running so tight with regards to parenting. There's a rumor going around that low-income parents cannot produce high-achieving students. Do you believe that? No. There's also a rumor going around that single parents cannot produce high-achieving students. Do you believe that? No. And so we don't believe it either. So my book on images and Reginald Clark's book, Family Life and School Achievement, we looked at that. Low income, high income, single parents, two parents. And what we found out was it was not how much money was in the home. It was not how many parents were there. What it boiled down to was the quality of the interaction. In other words, if you want to produce high-achieving students, we identified 5 common characteristics. First of all, in the high-achieving homes, these parents believe that the world is going to be better for their children. You know, in some homes, the parents are already downtrodden, already beaten, and they transmit a dismal attitude to their children. But not in high-achieving homes. These parents say, well, it may not be all what I want it to be, but it's going to be better for my children. They first of all transmit hope. Secondly, in high-achieving homes, these parents are consistent with their children. You know, some homes, mama got one rule on Monday, another rule on Wednesday. Yeah. Not here. There's consistency here. Third, in the high-achieving homes, these parents are complimentary to their children. You know, in some homes, every other word is 4 letters. Not here. These parents praise their children. Fourth, in the high-achieving homes, these parents give their children high expectations. And then last but not least, besides transmitting hope, being consistent, being complimentary, giving high expectations, these parents believe that they are the primary educators of their children. In other words, they've always been two.
Do we see this? Do we see what's happening now? How we as parents have failed. Who's doing this or who has done this in their home to build up their children, to produce positive self-image in our children, in developing a positive self-image? I mean, we've gotten away from this right here. We don't have time to teach our children anything. We're working 12-hour days, 16-hour days on some of these jobs. These jobs are keeping you so busy where you don't have time to sow into your child's life. Some of you guys don't even understand the love gift, the love language of your children. And there's 5 love languages. Either it's gifts, affirmation, touch, doing. Like for instance, you come in and you clean your child's room. Some kids like, for you to, that's a love language. Okay. And touch. That's the love language. And some parents don't even understand what love language their child is speaking. For instance, one of my daughters, it was touch. The other one is gifts. I can give her a gift, go to the store, buy her a bag of chips or buy her a pair of shoes. And oh my God, that was her love language. And the other one, all I had to do was touch, proud of you, or just go up and hug her and hold her. She's always been like that. Even now, they're the same way. So so when I hear parents say, oh, I love my child the same way, well, I love them the same. You did your child an unjust service because you didn't find out their love language. But I guarantee you, if you love them the same, that means you're not loving them the way they need it to be loved. So you're wondering, why am I having all these problems when I do everything for my kids? Learn their love language and pour that into them. Then you'll feed them and you'll fill them up every day. Then they'll understand and they'll say, oh my God, my mom loves me. But a lot of times you loving them the way you need it. But that's not the way they need it. I can love my one child and give her all the hugs in the world. And she's like, my mom don't love me because I didn't feel her tank because I'm not giving her a gift. You feel me? But you learn your child's love language. The other child, I can be giving her gifts. She don't care about gifts. All she wants is a hug. And you'll think, oh my God, I'm giving this child everything. I'm giving them shoes, clothes, But I didn't feed the love language. The one child is happy, and people wonder why I had the child. Have you ever heard this? Where you'll see a parent and they say, "Man, I love my kids the same." I was the parent of both children, and the one is wild and crazy, and the other one is because I guarantee you that parent didn't know that child's love language and was feeding them what they was giving the other child, but that was the other child's love language. So you fill that child's tank up when the other one felt unloved because you never filled their tank up. I'm just saying. But people don't know. They have no idea about love languages. There's a book called The 5 Love Languages of Parenting, The 5 Love Languages of Relationship, The 5 Love Languages. That's a very interesting book, and you guys can pick it up. It's called The 5 Love Languages. And that'll help you to understand what your child's love language is. Give them the test and see what's your child's love language. And also, you got to know what your love language is. Some of you guys, like I said, affirmation. You could tell, oh my God, you're beautiful today. Or, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. Or, oh my God, what a good job. Or here's a gift for you. Or touch, just touch. But it's up to us to find out what our child's love language is. I'm going to see. I'm trying to pick through this because I really feel that this is it's a long video. So I'm picking it. I'm not trying to show all of it, but I just want to just help us to understand what is really going on with our children. And this is some things that you can start doing today to fix the problem. I'm just saying we could either continue the way we've been going or we can kind of alter this thing a little bit. It's totally up to you. What result do you want?
Kind of parents in America. There's a teacher-parent conference. You want to talk to the parent. Now, the first kind of parent, not in this study, will probably pass the buck. Will probably say, well, I don't know what to do with them either. I got some of my own problems. Can you solve some of mine too? The first kind of parent will pass the buck. But then you get the second kind of parent who listen to you very carefully. And upon conclusion, will say very softly, thank you very much for telling me about my child. Now, if you can just leave us alone for a moment, I can assure you, you won't have that problem anymore in life. Now, you leave the meeting, You don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but it must be like The Godfather, where the parent gave the child an offer the child could not refuse. Or as Bill Cosby told Theo on the first day of the show, I brought you in here and I'll take you out. Now, these are the kind of parents we like to have more of. In other words, we want to come back and have a detailed workshop with your parents. It's a 16-step parent involvement program. And it first of all starts with establishing goals. So I believe if you're going to be a good parent, you have to establish goals for your children.
How many of us have done that?
And once you have goals for them, then you can go into stage 2, a home program. But you see, you can't even go into stage 2 if you aren't clear on stage 1. In other words, when I ask Black and many parents what kind of goals they have for their children, I hear things like, well, as long as he don't beat me, as long as he gets a job, as long as he stays out of jail. Well, see, if your goals are weak, then your home program will be weak. I have 2 sons, 15 and 10. I only have 3 goals for them. First of all, I want them to put God number 1 in their lives. Secondly, I want them to be committed to the liberation of Black people. And then third, I want my sons to be the employer rather than being the employee.
Did you hear that? Okay. Listen at the goals. He said he wanted them to be a liberator of Black people. How many of us tell our children that I want you to be a liberator of Black people? My parent never told me that. It just came natural to me. I'm just saying. Never told me to be the employer and told me to go get a job, right? Isn't that what we tell our kids now? Didn't say nothing about God. We don't even talk about God now in the home. So we got all kinds of stuff going on. I'm just saying, look at these. This is, I think we're going to spend more because this video here is developing positive self-images in Black children. We can start this today. Some of y'all who have small children, go pull this video up and learn from it. Just go pull this developing positive self-images in Black children. This was done in 1988. Come on, let's finish.
Now, the question is, if these are the goals to my sons, what kind of game plan, home program, or strategy can I develop that will hopefully, and I said hopefully, that's a key word. You see, I control the process. I don't control the result. It's like this workshop. How I give the workshop, my business. How you use the workshop, your business. There's no way I can ever guarantee any of this for my children. You see, I sleep good every night because I understand what I control. I control the process, not the result. But the question is, if my home program is my process, if I want them to put God first in their lives, should they go to church? Should they read the Bible? Or what do you mean maybe? If I want them to believe in God, they need to go to church or read the Bible.
Well, I'm not going to say that totally. I don't think that's the only way of me providing or showing them God. I think them having a relationship. Going to church does not show them God. Going to church showed me a whole lot of other stuff because I saw a whole lot of dysfunctional things in there. But it's about you establish a relationship, period. That's what it's about. It's not about going to church or reading the Bible. It's about you knowing him for yourself and establishing a relationship. And it's not about going to church for me. I don't know how y'all look at it, but let's just continue.
Quran, hold on, we'll come back to you a little bit later on.
Okay.
If I want them to be committed to the liberation of Black people, should they begin to read Black children's literature? Know that King's birthday is January 15th, Malcolm's birthday, May 19th, Gandhi's birthday, August 17th, and Kwanzaa in December. They should know that. If I want them to be the employer, should I also give some of my own homework? I just rely on school.
Okay, let me even ask you with that. Is it important to know their birthdays or to know what they did? I think knowing who they are, what they did, I think that's more important than me memorizing a birth date, right? What did Martin Luther King, what did Malcolm, what did these, all these people do? And how can I, how can I mimic? I don't want to say mimic, but how can I, I don't want to say how can I mimic. I want to say how can I pattern. I guess it is kind of mimicking. How can I help with that liberation of my peers? You know what I'm saying? What can we do as parents to liberate our children right now? What is it that we can teach them now to help them to start thinking Black? And what do I mean by thinking Black? Thinking about your own first. Instead of when a Black child does something like the Black girl did at school, and she was really trying to stand on what was good because she wanted her class to celebrate Juneteenth, and the teacher was so brainwashed. And this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to vet these teachers too to understand we want teachers that are Black first, that's going to think black, that's going to act black, that's going to have a black mindset, a black and wanting to do black for black children, black things for black children. And who would have said that it would have been anything different than, celebrating Juneteenth? Because guess what? I guarantee you she celebrates at St. Patrick's Day. She celebrates the Holocaust by reading the Holocaust. This is what I'm saying about helping our children to recognize blackness, having black history. You can have it all year. I don't have to wait till the month of February to teach black history. It's something that we teach every day, even in your home, even at schools with these teachers. This is why it's important. We're building up our black school. We're building up our black babies, right? We're making them feel good about themselves. I can talk to somebody on the phone and I can make them feel like, oh my God, I want to do it today. And it's all about the way I present it. What did he say? The way I presented this thing, I could make you want to be black. I remember our granddaughter, she was having a problem with history, right? She didn't like history. So you know what I did? For 30 days, I gave, and this was in the summertime, last summer, I gave her nothing but black projects to do. Finding some, we talked about new people. We talked about new people. We talked about folks that other folk, Khalid Muhammad. We talking about people like him. And yes, I let her listen to Khalid Muhammad. I was just saying, because I wanted her to see new people and then how important it is to introduce them to new people. Every day I said, find me somebody different. And you can't use the old people. You can't use Martin Luther King, Roosevelt. No, we're going to find some new people. And that made her interested in her black history, in her history, because we was teaching her about herself, her people, her ancestors. You understand what I'm saying? That's what we need to get back to. Let's continue. I hope I'm not boring you guys. I hope I'm not, you guys. But let's continue.
Homework. We have children that know that 6 times 3 is 18, but when you give them a word problem, they don't know what to do. If you want to train a child, give the skill first. If you want to educate a child, give the need first. We have people with BAs, MAs, and PhDs out of work. Can't make nothing.
Wow.
They have been trained, not educated.
Oh, wow.
We have to work on that. So these are just some of the kinds of ideas we want to share with you with regards to parenting, that we want them to believe they're the primary educator. And that means you have got to share some of the power. In other words, we can't on the one hand say we want them to be the primary educator, and then when they begin to question us, use our authority over them. In other words, it should be a 50-50 proposition with regards to this child's development. Any comments about parenting, the role it plays with regards to our students' achievement? Yes, is it Gwen?
Gwen,
Right.
in terms of helping
Self-development. Gwen, those parents that are 13, 16, 19, 21, and the like, they have not found themselves yet.
Right.
And so before giving them a workshop on child development, we have to work with them on their own self-esteem, on their own relationship, on how to find a job.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So I believe many times we have not asked them what kind of workshops they're interested in. And Head Start is more successful because they ask the parents what they need, rather than us deciding for them what they should have. Okay? Let me go on because of our time.
But do you understand what he just said? We have to find out our children's needs. And this is what is so important. And I'm going to just go there for a minute. I think that even in middle schools, we have to begin, maybe in elementary, well, maybe middle school. I think we should really separate the girls and the boys. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it's even in some classes, not all the classes, I'm seeing some classes where we can take the boys and separate them and begin to minister to them. The men can begin to minister to those boys, and the women can begin to minister, because God did tell us to teach the young, right? And so that they can never forget. We have to start taking them aside and talking about the male things that they're going to experience, and talking about the hormones, and talking about really important subjects that's going to have something to do with their bodies, and have something to do with their mindsets, and have something to do, a heart-to-heart conversation with some of these little girls. So, because girls, go through a little depression, they go through their little monthly thing, and we talk about what happens when you're going through that, what happens the week before, what happens the week after, and this is stuff that girls need to be understanding about their bodies, because some parents don't have time to talk about this stuff. And even for the boys, they wake up in the morning, we'll go, what's going on? I'm just saying, okay, these are conversations this is why we need to split them off at some part of the day, maybe 2 hours, and let them have that male conversation with the males and a female conversation with the females. And we're going to talk about all that's going on with their bodies, even for some of the kids that don't have that. And some parents didn't have it, so they really don't know how to tell it or how to talk about it without feeling embarrassed. And this is, your body is nothing to feel embarrassed about. But if you've grown up and your mom didn't teach you about it, you're kind of embarrassed. So that way, when your child asks you something about, hey, mommy, blah blah blah, you go, oh my God, why do I have to tell her that? Because your mom didn't tell you. Okay, well, that's when we're going to do this right here. Google is your friend, mom. But that could be a subject that you could say, hey, this is a subject that needs to be discussed because my daughter came up with this. And that might be something. It might be more young women in their classes thinking about that need to talk about that they're not talking about it with their moms. See what I'm saying? So this is where we can start this even now. This is something that can start now. Bakari talked about Black folks say, hey, what can we do? This is where it's going to start. This, to me, the affirmative action is another doorway. It's a brand new doorway for us to get back to teaching our own babies. I'm serious. The white kids, they don't want us over there. Then them white kids can't come over here. And then white teachers can't even. So take their asses right on back. Them white teachers is in Morehouse. Them white teachers is in Howard. Go right on back there to Yale. And then Black teachers is in Yale. Get your ass over here in the HBCUs and start teaching your own. I'm just saying. Because affirmative action. That means that's telling me I don't even want you around me. Okay, that's cool. We don't have to come around you. Okay, let's keep just for a minute more, you guys. Give me about 15 more minutes. Let's try to get this done.
Let me move to the third area, and that's one of my favorites, and that's the issue of student self-esteem. I sincerely believe that education is more than reading, more than writing, is more than math. It should first of all teach our children who they are.
Yeah.
See, if you don't know who you are, then you will not know what to do with your life. And if you don't know what to do with it, then you won't know how to achieve your goals. So Alex Haley raised the question of who am I? And he asked his mother, father, aunts, and his uncles who he was. Some people told Alex they were Negro. Some told Haley they were colored. Others told Alex they were Black. Some said they were Afro-American. Some told Alex they were African. And lastly, some said American. Now, we have the only children and some adults that give 6 different answers to a very simple question like, who am I? Again, you cannot teach a child that is, first of all, not know who he is. It's more important than reading, math, and science. So we began to ask ourselves, why do Germans call themselves Germans? Why do Chinese call themselves Chinese? And we were told there's a land called Germany. There's a land called China. So let's go back to a world map. Germans are Germans, land called Germany. Chinese are Chinese, land called China. Let's go to a world map. Is there a place in the world called Negro land?
Yep.
What about color land? What about Black land? What about Afro-American land? There's only 2 answers left, Africa and America. But be honest, what comes to most of our children's mind?
But you have to understand, let's go way back. When you really look at Africa, it was a place called Negro land in Africa. So when he said was there a place called Negro land? Yes, it was. It was in Africa. So guess what? We have to get back to the nationality. And that I really do believe is going to save our life in America if we get back to our nationality. But you got so many fools that sitting up here saying, oh, I'm not African. Let me help you. And I think I've discussed this last time, but let me discuss it just again. If I had a sister, if I grew up, okay, if my great-great-grandma was in Africa and she had family there with her, right? But they stole my grandma from the land and brought her here. That means my grandma had people back there, right? So does that make her still African, or she, wherever her land is now? She's still in Africa, right? Okay, she's still in Africa. She's still an African, right? Okay, so my mom or her daughter, which is my grandma, and my mom and myself, we still have her blood in us, right? So does that mean that we're not African? No, we're still African. What does people mean when they tell me I'm not African, I'm Indian? Well, okay, well, maybe there are some that are Indians. Okay, I'm not going to say that you're not, but I know a lot of them Indians didn't even like Black people. Okay, so I don't know why you're so proud of that, because some of them was hunting you down, hunting niggas down like the slaves that would escape. Them white folks paying them Indians so much money to bring you back, bring your head back, or bring your body back. I'm just saying, these are same people that you say, oh, you're so proud to be them because you don't want to be African. So stupid. Anyway, but okay. another prime example. If my son has a ball, right, and my neighbor's son takes the ball, does it belong to the neighbor's son now, or does it still belong to my son? It still belongs to my son. Even if the neighbor's son take the ball and grow up and give it to his son, does it belong to the neighbor? No, it still belonged to my son because the neighbor stole it. It still belonged to my son, my address, my home, because that's where that ball came from. Okay, so the next time somebody walk up to you and say, I'm not African, I gave you something to say. Okay, but let's go. Let's move forward.
I want to hit it with Africa. Tarzan, run around, no clothes on, be honest. And what about America, red, white, and blue, and apple pie? That's because this word right here, which is nothing but his story. You didn't know that? It's all history is somebody's story. You know what I'm talking about. Columbus didn't discover America. He was lost. And the end discovered him, and Abraham Lincoln didn't free any slaves. Well, no way to look at it, my story is very, very close.
Did you guys hear that? That's a long lost secret. Lincoln didn't free the slaves. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Y'all, what is he talking about? You better research that. He wasn't trying to free y'all back behind. He said if I could do it different, I wouldn't have freed nobody. I wouldn't did that. Y'all need to understand what he wasn't trying to free you. But oh man, okay, I'm gonna stay on target. Stay on target.
Close to the word mystery, and I want to clear up a couple of mysteries right now. The book is titled Great People, Past and Present. What happened to a people that built the pyramids and yet now live in projects? What happened? What happened to a people that were the first to read and write using a term called hieroglyphics and yet now can no longer read or write? In essence, what happened to a people in terms of Egypt? It's amazing. King Tut came to America, and we didn't realize that King Tut was one of us. Somebody mysteriously took Egypt out of Africa and placed it in the Middle East.
Y'all better stop. Oh, you know what? Okay. The Middle East. When people tell me it's the Middle East, I said, you mean Africa? You mean Africa? Because it's all Africa. Egypt, Pakistan, all right, Saudi, all of that's Egypt. I mean, all of that's Africa. All of it's Africa. There's no such thing as Middle East. Jerusalem, Africa, Pakistan, Arab, Saudi Arabia, Africa. It's all Africa. They just, the white folk just came and sliced it and they're going to call it what they wanted. It's Africa. You got East, West, North, and South, right? North Africa. It's Jerusalem. Y'all got to come with this thing. Stop it. We have to understand when people don't let them continue that lie. Oh, you mean the Middle East? I mean, oh, you mean Africa? Yeah, it's all Africa. There's no Middle East. It's Africa. Okay.
Now, how do you take a country out of a continent and then call it something else? As a result, we didn't realize that Egypt is in Africa. Yeah. Egyptians are Africans, and we were the ones that built those pyramids. But my new history book, Lessons from History, Celebration in Blackness, for elementary, and there's also one for high school. You see, we are concerned about some issues here. The first one being, where do you start? You see, we have found that many Black youth are embarrassed talking about the history. The Jews, now about the Holocaust, but us about slavery. I think one reason is where you start. The law says where you start will determine where you end up.
Come on.
Now, where do you want to start our children? If they started in 1619, they start on a plantation. That means they'll probably end up in a ghetto. But if you start 4 million years ago on a pyramid, they end up being free. Now, where do you want to start? On a plantation or on a pyramid? Because depending upon where you start will determine where they end up. Our first problem is we've been starting in the wrong place. And you cannot discuss 4 million years in 28 days, Black History Month. Now, I'm glad we got the month. It used to be a week, but you can't discuss 4 million years in 28 days. It's simply not enough time. Right. And then the other issue, what are we going to discuss? You see, if all we're going to discuss are names and dates and events, then you can do that in about 28 days. When was King born? 29. When did he go to DC? 63. When did he get the Nobel Prize? 64. When did he die? 68. That would never change. But if you want to make it relevant, you connect the past with the present and with the future. In other words, what were our mistakes? Because the mistakes you want to avoid and the strengths you want to reinforce. I'll say it clearly. Those that don't know their history, don't know their mistakes, are destined to repeat it over and over.
And that's what's happening right now. We don't know our history. We're not developing positive self-images in our Black children. So now you got these white folk because you mixed and mingled with them. They're gonna take that out of schools. They already don't teach Black history because I'm telling you, when high school, we didn't even get the Black history was the last chapter in the back of the book, and they never got to the back of the book, so we never did learn anything about Black history, and it was only one chapter. I'm just saying. I don't know about y'all schools, but I went to a mixed school, right? And I was like, and I remember just before I was going there, they was having a Black history class. They had a Black history class before the Black kids got there. Then once the Black kids integrated, they took away the Black history class. And I was like, because I signed up for it. I was like, oh, I'm going to get a Black history. I was super excited. And they said, oh, we got there because a lot of kids was taking it. They canceled it. I was like, what happened to the Black history class? And of course, you got American history. I don't give a damn about no American history. I wanted Black history. So I'm just saying, listen to him. You have to know your past. You have to know your history in order. If you don't know it, you're going to repeat it, and they're going to rewrap it, and they're going to call it gentrification, and it's still segregation. They just rewrapped it. So you got people saying, oh, gentrification. I'm like, you mean segregation? It's still the same thing. They just rewrapped it. Remember the landladies that was really super big back in the day, and now they these little bitty itty bitty things, and they just rewrapped it. Now they call them landlords. Those aren't many landladies. Those aren't the big ones. Remember when we had landladies, they were huge. Now they got them like these little bitty old things. I mean, there's little bitty old things, right? But it's still the same landlady what we had. They just rewrapped it and called. And sometimes they even rewrapped it and giving it another name like gentrification. Okay, let's go.
Over and over and over again. Our children need to know their story. And it did not start here. And it should be more than just names and dates and events. But let me calm down and go on. There's still two answers left, Africa and America. But there's a tremendous difference between who you are and where you're born. My hometown, Chicago, the ex-mayor, Daley. If you had asked Daley where he was born, he'd have said he was born in the USA. But ask Daley who he was. Ask him where his roots are.
Right.
And he say his roots are in Ireland.
Come on,
next
now.
stop, East Coast, Philadelphia. The ex-mayor there, Rizzo. If you ask Rizzo where he was born, he too would say the USA. But ask Rizzo who he is. Ask him where his roots are. And he say his roots are in Italy.
But ask Black people who they are. Ask them who they are. What answer you gonna get? I ain't from Africa. I'm American. You dummy. Where was your roots? Your roots is, where's your roots? Where's your roots? Some of them don't even know their roots. So that's why you got the 80, ADOS, FFA, you got this, you got all these different names. And then you got some talking, I'm Indian, but the roots was in Africa. You can never ask a Black person. They'll say, oh, I'm American. I'm US. I was born in, yes, you were born there, but where was your roots? Your roots is in Africa. I'm just saying. But we will never admit it. Come on, let's learn. We learn.
You know what I'm talking about. You and your husband, you and your wife are traveling across the world, and you're pregnant, and you gave birth to a child in Russia. Would your son or daughter be Russian? You're not sure? Next stop, China, and you gave birth.
Okay, hold on. I had a white girl in South Africa, right? And she goes, and I told her, she was, oh, I'm African. You know, she was kind of, oh, I'm African. I said, sweetheart, you'll never be African. You don't have any Black blood. She said, I'm African. I said, you don't have any Black blood, so you can't be African. You're not African. You might have been born there, but what was your mom born at? Okay. Where did that blood come from? That's not African blood. But she thought because I'm born on the land, I'm African. Heck no. Your roots came from Germany. Your roots came from Dutch. Your roots came from Irish. Your roots came from somewhere white, the Caucasus Mountains. Your roots are not Black roots. The only way you can say I'm African is your roots is from Africa. Black folk in America whose roots are from Africa can say we're from Africa. We're African. I don't care how you say it. You still African, dummies. But this is the problem when you allow other people to educate you. You lose it. It's mixed and mingled. It's all diluted. You don't even know who you are. So you didn't want to know about nothing Black. You don't even want to know about a Black business. You don't even want to know about supporting a Black business. All I want to know is that Arab over there got some good old chicken. I'm going to go eat his. And that Chinese got some good chicken. Since when Chinese folk cook chicken? Come on, chicken. Come on now. Have y'all had any Chinese chicken? When I first moved down here from Virginia, I used to live in Virginia for Cass, right? When I first moved down here, my husband took me to a Chinese shop, right? You know, back in the day, I would eat Chinese food, right? So we went and he bought some chicken. He bought some. And I looked, I said, it was yellow. I'm like, why is the chicken yellow? Why is, I've never seen yellow chicken. I'm like, it's either dirty or spoiled. Seriously. I'm looking at, why is their chicken yellow? It just made no sense to me. I said, I'm not eating that. It was yellow. I've never seen it. Have you ever eaten? But a lot of Chinese chicken is yellow. Tell me why their chicken is yellow. That means it's old, right? Okay, let's keep talking.
To a child in China. Would your son or daughter be Chinese? Hold on. You still not sure? Suppose you gave birth to a child in an airplane in the middle of no place. What are you going to call your child then? Delta Airlines and United Airlines? Just because you're born in America doesn't make you an American. If someone asks you where you're born in America. But if someone asks you who you are, where your roots are, you gotta say African American or European American or Mexican American, but the who always comes first.
Who always
Education is more than reading.
Yeah.
It should first of all teach you who you are. But you know what else it should teach you? It should make you feel good about yourself. Now the question is, what makes you feel good about yourself? What gives you strong self-esteem? Well, we believe first, your relationship with God. Second, unconditional love from your parents. Third, high expectations from teachers. Fourth, feeling good about your race, color of your skin, and texture of your hair. And lastly, knowing what your talents are. Because of time, I want to look at this one, the issue of race. There's a rumor going around that some of us, hopefully not in this room, are still using terms like good hair.
Come on.
And that to me is deep. You see, if you know what good hair is, then you must know what bad hair is. If you know what pretty eyes are, you must know what ugly eyes are. That's dialectic, the law of opposites. Our bestseller for children is called Colors Around Me. We believe that our children come in all different colors. But no matter what color they are beautiful just the way they are. Now, what I've noticed speaking to the primary grade children across the country, they clap for all of them. So the Emily is brown like chocolate cake and very pretty. And Robbie is red like cinnamon rolls and very handsome. The primary grades clap for all the children. But the upper grade laugh at Michael, who's black like licorice candy. And they also laugh at Joseph, who's black like ebony wood. Now, you would think that the older our children are, the greater self-esteem would be. But exactly the opposite. And my question to you, what is it about America's images where the longer these children live here, the less they feel about themselves? And remember, Renee is golden like a peach. And the upper grade clap for Renee, and they laugh at Joseph. Well, the reason is very simple. We allow somebody else to define for us what beauty is. If America defines beauty as light skin, long hair, and blue eyes as beautiful, haven't they told you what ugly is? It must be the exact opposite.
Come on, you guys. Are you guys listening to this? This is what has happened to our children going to their schools. Slick as they are, it's always going to be a subtle little oomph in there. Because we're at a point right now, we don't even know how we got there. We're looking at our children, we're like, man, what's wrong with them? You know how a cat is very slick, sly, and they move real slow, right? That white folk didn't done us with education. They just slipped this in. Now they're telling you you're indigent. You're servants. You were servants. They would tell you servants. You're servants. You were servants. You came over. You were servants. We weren't servants. We were slaves. Let's say what we were, slaves. But they want to change the words now. But nobody challenges that, do they? Now you got black folk hollering, I'm people of color. You're not people of color. We could be melanated, but we're not people of color. People of color is not talking about you, but you want to include yourself. So I'm people of color. You're not people of color. You'll never be people of color. But let's go on.
It must be dark skin, short hair, and broad features. Once you know what is, you automatically know what's not. But you know what's amazing? When I was in Florida, I found Europeans trying their best to run down to Florida to get a suntan to look like us.
All right.
And then I found us running home with Noxzema and cream, trying to look like them.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know that racism is a sign of insecurity?
Yep.
People that are secure are comfortable with differences. Only insecure people, we need to rationalize because they are different. It makes them better. But let me tease you one step further. It's the first day of school, and Renee comes walking to your classroom with her pretty dress on, her hair floating in the wind. And like all little boys, Joseph comes in behind her. But on this day of accident, on his way to school, did not make it to the executive room in time. Now, do you sincerely believe that Joseph can learn as much as Renee? If you don't, you aren't fit to teach our children.
Come on.
There are teachers who believe that Renee is smarter than Joseph. Mm-hmm. And when they believe that, she just becomes smarter than Joseph. You know how many black women, even in this room, can't swim? Afraid they're going to go back? Go back to where? Where you afraid of going back to? This is deep. Do you think that what happened in slavery is over? Read Peculiar Institution by Kenneth Stamps, the slave-making process. We have to work on those kinds of issues. Before we go into our next workshop on curriculum, any comments about student self-esteem, the role it plays in academic achievement? I believe you cannot do a good job in school if you don't like the way you look. Yes?
How do you attack the racial self-esteem within the peer group? For example, a boy saying she's good looking for a black skin. Or
Black History Month and all that stuff.
Well, quote unquote, white history. Then we will no longer have world history through European eyes. We will put the event in the middle and we will see what everyone says about the same event. In other words, we'll call this the Asians and Africans and the Europeans and the Hispanics and the Native Americans. I also gave you a clue. This is also the order of world population. We are not the minority. There are 700 million of us living in the world. Asians are first and we're second. We're not the minority. 80% of the world's population has color. We are not the minority.
Did you hear that? We're not the minority. They got you believing that you're the minorities, people. You know how many people in Africa alone? Billions. Isn't it billions? Like 10 billion in Africa alone? In Africa alone. It's so many of them. Why do you think that the U.S. wants to genocide them and bring in homosexuality, LGBT? Why do you think why do you think they're targeting Africa? China doesn't believe in LGBT. They don't even show movies with a boy, girl looking TV on the TV. Okay. Saudi Arabia, even though they do some crazy stuff over there with their kids, they really act like they're not into the homosexuality. But guess what? By them doing the separation, they practice on each other. What they're teaching their boys how to kiss, they practice. I'm just saying, it's just whatever. I'm not going to go in there. But anyway, let's just keep listening.
But the point I want to make here is, if the event goes in the center, not a people, but an event, then we go around the world giving each group an equal amount of time to give their side to the story. That's what will make it multicultural. For example, if the event was Columbus coming to America, Europeans would say Columbus discovered America. But the Native Americans say Columbus was lost and they discovered him. Same event, but these two groups see it differently. Slavery. Europeans would say slavery was good for America. But Africans would say the black family was almost, not quite, was almost destroyed. World War II. Europeans would say World War II was good for the American economy. But Asians would say they were placed in camps in California. Same event, but these two groups see it differently. If it's multicultural, no group is in the center. But when you run the world, then you can do whatever you want. Columbus can discover America. Lincoln can be the one that freed the slaves. You can even make, if you want to, America large in Africa. Africa is 2.5 times the size of the United States.
Come on now.
But when you run the world, you can make America large in Africa. You can even move Africa over here and put America in the middle. I challenge you, in your school system, do you have maps showing Africa larger than America? Do you have maps that show Africa in the center of the world? That's exactly where it is. A multicultural education. But beyond content, let's also look at learning styles. The work is from Piaget, from Asa Hilliard, from Janice Hale Benson, titled Black Children, Their Roots, Their Culture, Their Learning Style. Remember when you were in school, it's called a split brain theory. The rumor is they're walking around with half a brain. The split brain theory. Remember when you were in school, the rule was that instructors teach their subjects, but teachers understand how children learn. There are two sides to the brain. There's the right side of the brain, which is holistic.
Oh, man.
It sees everything. Very good in areas like music and in sports.
Sorry, y'all.
That's the right side of the brain. But you also have the left side of the brain, very analytical. It breaks things into parts. Very good in math and in science. Now, it has been said it's in private academic circles that people of color are better on the right side of the brain, and the people that lack color are better on the left side of the brain. Now, my question to you, did God go to sleep with black folks on the left, but wake up on their right? Did God wake up with Europeans on their left, but go back to sleep on their right? And before you answer, please remember, 86% of the NBA, National Basketball Association, starters are black. but only 1% of the engineers in this country are black. Isn't it true that all black folks can dance? That we all got rhythm? Is it physical or is it cultural?
Wow.
Come on now. Can't hear you.
I see that.
Cultural. Now I agree with you, Terry, but our children don't. Our children believe, I could probably ask anyone here in Cincinnati in terms of the youth to go one-on-one with any white boy in a basketball court, they'd have no problems. But will be scared stiff in the laboratory.
Yeah.
I believe as you do. I believe it's culture. But our children believe they have a better chance of doing well on the right side of the brain. You see, my concern is that you do most will be that you do best. But more importantly, that you are allowed to do.
Yes.
We've always been encouraged to sing and dance and play basketball, but not to become involved in math and science. But remember, there are 5 ways to communicate an idea in a classroom.
Did you hear that? Okay. Because he said what you really concentrate in the most is what you're best at. So if you concentrate more in science, you'll be more healthier in the science world, right? But if you concentrate on more dancing and basketball, then that's where you're going, and that's what the balance is. He said 1% were scientists, right? But he said so many more were what? But you have to understand. Let's continue. I want y'all to get this. We're almost done, you guys. Let me see how much more minutes. I wanted to finish this. Okay, we got maybe 10 more minutes. I hope you guys could hang in there with me, you guys. Hope I'm not boring you guys.
And those 5 are written, which is left brain, oral stories, right brain, pictures, right brain, fine arts, right brain, and artifacts, right brain. There are 5 ways to communicate an idea in a classroom. Most schools use an exclusive left brain methodology and a left brain test with large numbers of right brain thinking children. A tremendous tragedy. There are 2 ways to learn left and right side of the brain. Now here's the way the exercises go. If you want a left brain lesson plan, it goes like this. Read the definition, write the definition. Purely left brain, read it and write it. If you want to go from left, not to right, but left to whole brain, using both sides, read the definition and then draw what you think you just read. Then you'd have to integrate the left and right side of the brain. You know, we have people in this room with BAs, MAs, and PhDs, still drawing with stick figures, still drawing like 4th graders. It's not your fault. When you were in school, they belittle the right side of the brain. Let me give you a homework assignment. I want you to develop a right brain lesson plan and then evaluate it with a right brain instrument. We have got to find ways to meet our children where they are. They have a strength that we have not been using. And I wish we could have a lot more time on this.
And that's what's going on in these schools. They are not utilizing our children. They're teaching our children the way they teach their children, and our children are totally different. And some of them aren't even getting it because they have a teacher that don't even know how to teach them because they're totally disregarding how our babies learn. Totally. But we still want to let them do it. We still won't take them out of their schools. We still leave them there and hope and pray they get it because they have a better education with white folk.
Major area of learning styles. But because of our time, we're now down to about 5 or 7 minutes. I want to now move into the best for last.
Almost, you guys.
I want to now look at teacher expectations. I want to now talk about you. I'm now quoting from the work of Wilbur Brookover and Ron Edmonds. They wanted to find out what was the major reason for academic achievement. I am proud to report 3rd, not number 1, is the student's socio-economic background. Some of us still keep believing, well, how much money is in the home? How many parents are there? It is not number 1. It is 3rd on the list. The 2nd is the school per pupil expenditure. Some of us still keep believing, well, what color is the school bus? How thick is the carpet? Well, that is also not number 1. How much money is in the school or in the home has never been number 1. Number 1 has never changed. Number 1 remains teacher expectations. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 1920, 1-room school shack, 40 students. The roof was leaking. Only 2 books, and all 40 students learned. Beyond Piaget, beyond Montessori, beyond Glasser, beyond Goodlad, education boils down to one word and one word only. Do you believe that our children can learn? That seems very simple. The key word is expectations. You know the program. It's called TESSA. Teacher expectation, student achievement. The theory is if you increase this, you increase this. But what we found out was teachers are human. Many teachers lower expectations on 4 factors. Brookover gives those 4 as race, income, gender, and appearance. In other words, many teachers lower their expectations based upon the race of the child, the income of the child, the gender of the child, and how the child looks. One teacher wanted to give me another I want to share with you now. She also said, Juwan, I know it's not right, but I also am affected by the parents show up. In other words, I've noticed I respond differently to certain children if I know the parents are involved.
Right.
I know it's not correct, but that's exactly what I do. 5 major areas that affect expectations. So again, the program is called TESSA. It goes into your classroom with a video camera, with your peers, with an administrator, trying to see if they can monitor expectations. And you know the 3 strands of TESSA. One is response opportunities. Another one is feedback. And the last one is personal regard. What TESSA attempts to do is to see if you can give all 30 children the same number of opportunities. TESSA believes you learn best when you're involved in the process. Now, this is very hard to do. If we were talking about a white teacher with 30 white children, or a blind teacher with 30 blind children, to give all 30 children the same number of opportunities to respond. TESSA believes this is necessary in order to grow and develop. Now, many teachers say is, well, Juwanza, the reason why I don't call on Willie is that Willie don't know the answer. Well, see, the problem is when you stop calling on Willie back in October, if you wanted to call on him now in May, he wouldn't know the answer because he believes you're not going to call on him anyway.
Right.
And then the other one I hear so much of, well, time is so tight. I can't afford to waste time on Willie. Well, see, the problem is that may be correct in the short term, but when we talk about somebody's life that we're now destroying, that could be involved in prison later, in the long term, it's better to call on Willie now
Right.
than have him taking all that money from us in prison later on.
Right.
We've got to begin to look at having all the children involved. And then the next area, feedback. 2 students, Willie, the low achiever, and the high achiever. You call on Willie first, he gets the answer wrong. You probably stay with Willie 1 second, then you go on to Ann.
Right.
She also got the answer wrong, but she's your higher achiever. So you stay with Ann a little long. Come on, Ann, you know it. And they begin to give clue and clue. 5 minutes later, Ann finally comes with the answer. In other words, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. That Ann feels better about herself because we've given her more feedback, more reinforcement. And then, of course, the last one, the one I'm concerned about the most, and that's personal regard. That's attitude. TESSA believes you should touch the children. Let them know that you care. Let them know that you love them. So what happens? We send teachers to TESSA training, and they come back saying, I touched you. I love you. I like you. But the problem is the children know it's still not there.
Right.
It's not real. This cannot be taught. You either love them or you don't. In Cincinnati or wherever we are in the country, please don't put all the schools in the same category. Ron Evans, before he died, developed the Effective Schools Project. What makes effective schools? There are 3 major factors. 1, they have strong leadership. In other words, please don't think every school in Cincinnati or in Princeton County School District are in the same category. Because first of all, good principals spend very little time in their office. You see, the good ones are instructional leaders. They're involved in the classroom. They're involved in the corridors. In other words, they realize they should be involved in the educational process. They get there early and stay late. Paperwork done early. They get involved with the students throughout the day. Good principals also have workshops for their teachers, especially in the 3rd and 4th quarter, where you begin to have teacher burnout. You don't need me now in August and September. Oh, but in January and March and April, where you have teacher burnout, there's some serious problems there. I know you're not gonna like this. I also believe the principals should take their teachers out to lunch, have Teacher of the Month awards. In other words, a good principal is a good coach. They have to find ways to keep their staff motivated. Good schools have strong leadership. Second.
Okay, you guys, want to come back to it. If you guys have any questions or anything, or I'm gonna put the link in there. I know I'm done. I just want to kind of it's so important for us to understand, how do we fix it? We keep asking it, how do we fix it? How do you fix it? How do you fix it? Well, what you talking about? You're not a man unless you have got at least 10 sons. What I want to say is, we often ask the question, how do we fix it? We go back to the basics. You go back to what we left. You go back to you teaching your children. But first, you're going to have to unbrainwash some Black teachers, or we have Black teachers that love Black children. We utilize them. in our HSBCUs, our HBCUs, HSBCUs, HBCUs. We utilize them. We utilize them. We get back to the basics. We make Black children feel important. I guarantee you, if we had more men teachers, our schools wouldn't look the way they look. You have more women, white women teaching our babies. They don't care about your babies. I asked a lot of students, and I'm at my granddaughter's student class, a lot. I asked a lot of those kids, what don't you like about your school? And I asked older kids, like kids that have graduated already, what didn't you like about your high school? You know what I hear? Structure. It wasn't strict enough. It wasn't disciplined. She said teachers didn't care. They let the kids do whatever, even in the class. That's done on purpose. You got Wild Kingdom up in there. We should be holding these children. We should hold these teachers accountable. We should hold these principals accountable, and we're not doing that. When we create our new, we hold the principals. Even in HBCUs, we hold the presidents accountable. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do, we come down on their head. Because I'm not going to sit up here and give you all these donations, okay? And you not know what to do with it. It's not supposed to go in your pocket. It's supposed to be going toward our babies. You understand what I'm saying? It's time for us to do something different. It's time for us to care. It's time for us to parent on purpose, change what we can. We can change some things. We got some men, Black men with schools. Zach's Institute, King Randall. Heard something about it was vandalized. I don't know if that's true, but my thing is, why didn't you have security around your school? You know how these people act. Let's not act brand new here. He knows unless he forgot. I bet you he remember now. Have some security around your school. Because I will pay my men to be around my school. I want 2 out there. One on one end. I need 2. One on one end, one on the other end. And y'all can patrol this way. Something happened at school, you're going to pay the consequences. Or you're going to be fired. I'm just saying. You want your job? Make sure my school is safe. We have to do better. Just like he said, we have to learn from the past. Learn what they did wrong and not repeat it. Teaching a whole different way. He just showed you how to teach our children. You make sure that everybody is, even if you got that book out and everybody read a sentence, you're going to make sure everybody can read. You're going to ask, okay, so-and-so, I'm going to ask you a question. I need everybody have a turn. Just like he said, everybody have a turn. You don't call them the same one. You may not even answer to that. But when I answer, I may start on this side of the room today. I'm going to start on this side tomorrow. I'm starting this row the next day. You're going to keep a track of that. Because I want to make sure everybody is doing their part. That's how they get away. Because when you come to them, well, Joseph, he ain't got. Joseph, when did you stay after school? That's what a real teacher would do. You know he has problems. Keep him close. You look at his face when you're explaining something. You look at his face, see if he got it. If you don't got it, Joseph, I got you later. You go ahead and teach the rest. Pull Joseph aside. Or you keeping Joseph, if you keep Joseph aside and he's showing and you're doing. He's got to do it. Okay. So that means, okay, Joseph, get your paper out. I need to make sure that you're going to keep up with me. Okay. Write your problem, 5 + 9. You give Joseph time, you give him time to write it. Okay. Some kids that that's on this side of the room, they don't need to write. They're visual, right? Joseph is hands-on. He got to do it. This is how we have to get back to teaching our educators. 3 ways to learn, right? You find out which way you can teach, which way is your students going to learn. Separate the room. The visuals, audio, the ones that learn audibly, okay? And then you have the ones that have to see and do. That's in the middle. See and do. I mean, we have to get back to the basics. We can't sit here any longer and say, oh my God, this is. No. How are we going to fix it? Somebody yesterday said we were doomed. So we don't do nothing. We just sit there, we're doomed. We just doomed, y'all. We just sitting here. We doomed. We're not doomed. What do you mean we doomed? So because you say we're doomed, we don't do anything? You say we doomed, we just die? We doomed. Bakari, welcome. What do you mean doomed? How are we doomed? How are we doomed? No. We do. You have to do something. It's okay. You can watch a replay, Bakari. Y'all can do the replay. I tell y'all what happened to me Saturday. Near-death experience. It's not fun. It wasn't funny then, but it was really a true near-death experience. But we get back to the basics. We're done, Bakari. I'm on it. I've been on here long enough. I just really wanted to just, you saw the title, and we wanted to talk about our babies. Little Prince Rise. How do we help our little Prince rise? How do we help them to rise? How do we help them to rise? We get back to the basics and do what works for our babies. You do what works for our babies. You teach our Black history. You teach our tradition. You teach our culture. You get back to educating Black. Period. White kids want to come over there? You're going to learn Black stuff, so you may as well go back home. I'm just saying. Because that's what we're teaching right now. Because we got some time to make up. And we as Black folk better get so busy. We better get on the ball right now. Because we have depended on massa for too long. We came from under them. Our ancestors, this is the thing about it. Our ancestors brought you out of Egypt. You forgot the pain. You forgot the torture. You forgot the hardship that you experienced in Egypt. And just like in the biblical days, they went to go back. Y'all fools went back. Y'all fools went back. So I'm saying, nobody has sense. Back in the day when Martin Luther King said, hey, let's go. I dream. I had a dream. I don't know where you got that dream from. When the God's dream, when the God's dream came from the devil. Because that was a setup of Black folk, whether you know it or not, to bring you back up under massa. Because you was making too much money. I'm going to tell y'all as a secret. If y'all had to stay separate from them, because we was already doing way better than them in Black Wall Street, because them crackers was standing over there jealous of Black folk, and they still jealous of you today. They was jealous of Black folk. They seen us growing. We had our own town. They had their own homes. They had their own stores. Them crackers was coming over buying from you on Black Wall Street. What they do? They got jealous and they bombed. Your government bombed the city. Your government, because them Black folks giving them white folks honey. They was giving them a hard way to go. In Black Wall Street, they was giving them crackers the business, and your government helicopters. Ain't black folk ain't got no helicopters, we ain't got no planes, but they bombed Black Wall Street. I'm just saying, okay, they bombed. That was your government, but they was looking at the Black folk. They was like, what in the world? Them Black folks is shaking and moving over there, and they literally got so jealous of us. Ain't that so? They got jealous of Black people. Said, we're going to take them down. And Martin Luther King didn't help no better. He came talking about to have a dream. One day, we're going to hold hands with them damnable bastards. We're going to hold hands with them little Karens. I don't want to hold hands with Karens. I didn't like them in kindergarten. I didn't like them in first grade because they was trouble. Trouble. I stayed as far as I could away from them. And we had a mixed school. I'm just saying. We had these white teachers, they used to be so mean. I went to Catholic school too. Them nuns was mean too. I said, these are the worst women. These people call themselves close to God. They was the worst people. They was mean as hell. I used to say, why don't y'all get husbands? Because I went to a Catholic school up into 8th grade. They was horrible. And I was like, what is wrong with these people? These folks, I thought, from what you hear, the priests go to God and the priest was close to God and the priest did, and the nuns was nuns and they were so sacred. And there was some mean heifers. White, wrinkled up, mean heifers. That's what they were. Mean as hell. And the priest wasn't, he was drunk. The eyes red. I'm just saying. I used to look at them. What's wrong with them? These were not nice people. These nuns were terrible. I'm telling you, it was the worst thing for Black people. And black folk didn't have the nerves to tell Martin, man, sit down with that. We're not coming together with the crackers. We got away from them devils. We're not going back. And you have black folks say, yeah, one day we're going to hold hands with them bastards. We're going to hold hands with them little nasty Karens. We're going to hold hands with them nasty white folk. You gave up your schools. You gave up everything you own. You gave up land. You gave up schools. You gave up churches. You gave up stores. You gave up transportation. You gave up everything. You left your churches. You left your schools, your teachers, your black doctors, your black nurses. You left them and went all the way back across town, back to Egypt. You forgot, didn't you? You forgot how damnable they were. You forgot how ugly they was. You forgot how bad they treated you because you didn't grow. You got some little money in your pocket. You got your little home. You got your little school. You're doing good. You didn't forget about them crackers, but you didn't understand that when you was away from them, how you grew. You grew in your own area. You was flourishing. We was flourishing. Then what happened? We lost everything to taste their ice. Our ice melted. Now we got to start from scratch. Now we got to reinvest in those schools that could have been well in the future. Do you not know what our schools could look like today? Because everybody got good jobs. I mean, we can have good jobs. Our taxes could have went to our schools. Books. We could order our own books. We don't need their books. We can order our black books. Keep your little thing. You keep your little Patrick's Day books. Oh, you see my shoulder. You keep your little Patrick's Day books. We don't want nothing over there. We got our own over here. We're going to get our own black books. Even if you got one book, that boy, didn't man say you had one book, 40 students, and they still learn, didn't they? Even if we went and bought one book and read it to the class. I'm just saying. Nobody could buy one book. And when your government destroyed it, others folded because it feared and because of just the segregation. Yeah, that is why most not want to fight fire with fire caused them. Yeah, yes, you're right. You're right. You are so right. You are so right. My baby. You're so right. But now we got to start from scratch. We got to start all over again. We got to start all over again. We got to start building all over again because we gave up our ice. Now our refrigerator is broke down. We got to go fix our refrigerator. We got to go get a new refrigerator. Got to go get a new stove. We got to go get new floors. We got to go get new land. We got to build a foundation. We got to build a house. We got to get the schools. You got to get the stores. You got to get the gas stations. We got to get everything. So we let everything go. We let them have everything. Because we wanted to test their water. But our water was better than their water. Come on. We built ours from our hands. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You understand what I'm saying? We have to do better. We have to do better. I'm about done. I just wanted to kind of touch bases on where do we start? We've been saying, we've been telling you what to do. Get back to the basics. Get back to the basics. Get back to educating our own. Get back to building our own communities. Get back to building. I'm going to keep talking. I hope Bakari keep talking about building those stores. Because I would love to do it. I would love to. I'm doing so much right now. I don't know how much, and I'm going to keep on trying to do what I can. I'm going to keep on trying to build as much as I can. I'm going to leave a legacy. Are we leaving legacies? Are you guys leaving legacies for your children? I hope you are. Because what's the little corner store? I remember people used to sell meat remember in their corners back in the day? They used to sell meat in their trunks, they had little, back in the day, I remember they used to have like a whole pound of meat. It was a whole bunch of meat for like $30 back in the day. Remember that? And we had chicken, you had pork chops. I don't eat pork, but I'm just saying chicken, pork chop, ribs. They had all kind of meat. Remember that? And they used to come by in these black neighborhoods and they would sit in the parking lot and these men were selling all kind of meat and stuff. Why can't we get back to that? Build your way up. Sell your product. Create an online store. Sell your product and get out here on some Saturdays, some evenings when you get off at 3:30 or 4. Get your stuff out your trunk and set up in the parking lot. I'm gonna tell you in Mexico, I'll show you in Mexico how all in Mexico they had either tents and they would be lined up along this downtown. We're no downtown. They had tents. And they lined up. You got food, you got stuff that you need, you got whatever you needed. Somebody was selling popcorn, shoes, belts, hats, boots, cowboy boots, all kind of stuff in tents. Why don't we do that here? Why we as black folk don't set up somewhere and have our little tents and we selling to each other? Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we doing that in your little area? If you have a little empty parking lot, why aren't we renting that parking lot and say, hey, this is what we're going to set up? That's an idea for somebody. I'm just saying. An empty parking lot. And we can set up out there. We can have our own little businesses, our own little area. And you know how the Mexicans, and there's a Mexican flea market in Winston-Salem, right? And it's huge. And black folk even mixing in with them. I'm like, why don't you have your own? You can't have your own. Black folk mixing in with them. I don't even try to buy nothing for the Mexicans. I spend more money with the black folk if I go over there. I'm just saying. Black folks selling the same thing white folks. Why would I buy from somebody white? I'm just saying. We're going to talk about destroying our black boys. We're going to talk about that, destroying our black boys. We're going to talk about how they destroying them. I'm just saying. And parents, you need to be ashamed of yourself. Be ashamed of yourself because you're allowing it. You've allowed them to destroy your sons. You know how they treat you on these jobs. And you giving them your children, and you giving them your children unsupervised. Demons and devils get to have your child unsupervised. How about that? You're right. Highly favored. Welcome, girl. Welcome. Highly favored. Welcome. 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 Rob, what you say? Just stand aside and let them destroy. Yes. 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 But why are they destroying each other? Get your babies away from them. How can God really destroy them when our kids are still in the midst? I believe that he lets things get so bad for us right now that we want to run, that we want to get away from them. We want to separate so that he can deal with them. So that he can deal with them. I've been on here long enough. I'm done. And he's going to keep on allowing things until you get tired enough. Do y'all know that in France, they was tearing up some stuff? I'm hold on. Let me do this. Hold on, y'all. They was tearing up some stuff in France. I want y'all to see this. If I can pull it up. Hold on. I want y'all to see this. Paris protests ugly scenes in France. I want y'all to see this. I'm going to just, hold on, you guys. I'm going to show this. Hold on. I want y'all to see this. Y'all didn't even know this. Hold on. I'm going to show y'all something. I got to share my screen. And then I'm done. I promise you. I keep saying that. I promise you I'm done. I want to show y'all this. Y'all just see this. Hold on. All right. Let me show you. Okay. Hold on. Okay, that's for one thing. France investigates fund for policemen who sparked riots. Okay, but that isn't what I want to show you. I want to show you this right here. Why France are protesting? This is what they're doing in France. They got why the France are protesting. Hold on, let me look. Hold on. And then they got French yellow vest gathers in Paris for 10th weekend. These are what they're doing in France. Did y'all notice? French parliament passed law to curb violence protests world. Did y'all know that? At least 8,400 arrested in yellow vest protests. This is what's going on in France right now. France riots hand elite new immunity to EU budget. French PM removes police chief and vows to shut down. Are you guys looking at this? Paris protests are not chanting Trump's name as he, I don't know what's going on with that. But do you guys see what's going on in France? Have y'all heard this on the news? They burning it down because a young man was shot in France. Do y'all see this? Paris rocked by worst riot in 50 years. They gonna make France do something for them. France yellow vest protesters, 500 arrested as riot police. Come on, look at this. This is going on right now. Did y'all know that? Y'all didn't know that, did you? They're not putting it on the news because they're like, oh my God. Hopefully they don't get it here. Hopefully they don't get a whiff of it. This is what Black folk need to do globally. Globally. And we won't do it. While France is doing this, gas mask arrests as 38,000. Okay, tear gas mass arrests as 30,000 yellow vest protesters. Y'all didn't know they were doing this, did you? Protests. I'm just saying, this is what's going on in France. This is what's going on in France right now. Look at that. This is what's going on. Y'all act like y'all didn't know this? Look at that. France is on fire. It's on fire, y'all. It's on fire. I'm just saying. Protest sweeping France. What do you need to know? Let me see. France police shooting and riots. What you need to know. France steps up security. Look at that. And then unrest in France between us. Okay, I'm just saying. This is what's going on. Why is the country rioting? And then I'm going to be done. Fatal police shooting of a teenager rocked France. Was it a George Floyd moment? Look at that. France ain't playing with them. Was this France George Floyd moment? Some of the country described it that way. French police have come under scrutiny after a 17-year-old boy of Anglo-Aryan and Moroccan descent, identified as Nihal, whoever, was shot and killed last week by a police officer as he attempted to flee a traffic stop in Nîmes. Now they're trying to bring that American stuff to France. France said, y'all, I guess it's not bringing that over here. Listen, Paris suburb. The incident led to riots across French cities that hundreds of cars and buildings set on fire, looting mostly by minors. Schools, cities, hall, and police stations were attacked. Over the weekend, rioters fired rockets at the suburban homes of the mayor of one of the area of Paris, injuring his wife and children. Tens of thousands of police officers were deployed to try to restore calm. A heavy policeman response appeared to make an impact, as did an appeal to French TV made by the slain teenager's grandmother, who urged rioters not to smash windows, attack schools, stop it. It is mothers who take those buses. Now, why would you sit up there and say anything? I'm gonna tell you what, it couldn't have been me, because I wouldn't have said nothing. I would have been like, burn it down. They wouldn't even put me on TV, because I'd have been like, burn it down, burn it all down. I'm just saying. They are tired. And see, it wasn't even a black boy, it was a Moroccan boy. This is why I want to show y'all how these Moroccans get together, and they don't care. These foreigners don't care. If you hurt one of theirs, they gonna handle their business. If there had been somebody black, we'd have been just, well, we gonna march. We gonna march, and they gonna get nothing. I guarantee you, this government gonna do something. During the civil rights, you have to understand. During the civil rights, they was rioting for what, 4 days straight? They was burning down stuff. That's how they got the Civil Rights Bill passed. Every time something happened or America gave black folks something, that means they was rioting somewhere. Every time. George Floyd, what happened? They was doing some stuff. They was getting ready to give your George Floyd a bill that wasn't gonna do nothing. Didn't have no teeth. They was gonna get ready to pass something. What did they do? You stopped, because they said, "Oh, we're gonna give you a bill. We're thinking about it now." As soon as you stopped, they stopped, didn't they? I'm just saying. I don't have a glass, y'all. Excuse me. It just tastes better out of the bottle. I'm just saying. But let's keep on. By Tuesday, a nationwide unrest appeared to ease, and French President Emmanuel Macron, who since coming to power in 2017 has weathered a succession of protests and street unrest, ranging from the so-called yellow vest movement of economic justice to anger over pension reform. Okay, was due to meet Tuesday with the mayor of over 220 towns and cities that had been concerned by incidents and damages in recent days. An old age problem amid French strikes as retirement veterans in America. However, the United Nations have urged French authorities to see the riots as a moment for the country to seriously address the deep issues of racism. How you gonna get it addressed? You see what I'm saying? Now they're ready to face the issues. Now they're ready to address it. They was doing something in order for them to address it. Sitting down doing nothing, they're not going to address nothing. Did you hear? However, the United Nations has urged France authorities to see the riots as a moment for the country to seriously address the deep issue of racism and racial discrimination in law enforcement. I'm going to let that sink in. A minute. You didn't sat up here and done nothing for so long. Nothing's changed. You marching, you voting, and nothing is changing. What happened here? They rioted, and now they're getting ready to address some stuff that should have been addressed years ago. Keep burning it down until they change things. I don't give a damn if the whole France is the Eiffel Tower come burned. I'm just saying. It makes no sense for you to sit here and do nothing and say, "Oh, we're dying." We're dying anyway without you doing anything. France police violence under the microscope. In fact, some media have referred to Nehalem's killing as reminiscence of Floyd's murder by the U.S. police. Come on now, y'all. Floyd, who died in May in 2020 in Minneapolis while in police custody, sparked demonstrations and unrest in scores of American cities. The episode led to a question about the role and scope of police in America's life. Okay, his killing unleashed a sweeping reckoning about everything from statues to sports team names, from whether Black Americans would be safer moving overseas to louder, renewed calls for reparations. Do you hear what they're saying? The act for committed, this act was committed by a law enforcement officer was filmed and broadcast almost live and involved an embellishment representative of socially discriminated category. Le Monde newspaper wrote in the editorial, "I'm leaving, I'm not coming back. Fed up with racism, Black America's head overseas." That's true. Come on now. Reparations bill get new attention. Could other nations provide a blueprint? Listen, following Mihail's death, there have been calls for French activists for the country to address long-running allegations that its police engaged in systematical racism, profiling, and very poor training. Ain't no poor training. It's all about racism. How do you retrain a racist? You cannot. You get rid of their asses and you hire some women, Black and white women. I'm just saying, you hire some women, you sit the men down. If they don't know how to act, you first time they do something, out the door. Period. First time I see your Facebook page and you got some stuff on there, out the door. I'm just saying, this is things that we need to deal with now. Okay, ain't no poor training to deal with the social economic tensions affecting racial minorities in France, so-called Balinese. Okay, to often bleak and poverty-stricken working class neighborhoods, to ring France cities where they disproportionately live. Notorious, drop something on the floor. Drop my stuff. Notorious prosecutor office said that after an initial investigation, the police officer who fired the gun had been given a preliminary charge of voluntary homicide and remanded in custody. Okay. In recent survey by the France-based defenders of rioter organizations found that the 80% of young French men perceived to be Black or Arab descent reported being stopped at least once by police in the last 5 years. This compares to about 16% of the population as a whole that reported being stopped over this time. What remains consistent is a refusal by political powers to act on one of the factors in this explosive cocktail. The police historian Cedric Mass said in Twitter, as the riot unfolded across France, riots in the US and Britain in the 60s and 80s have led to deep reforms to the police. That's not true. In France, nothing for the past 40 years. That's not true. Riot in US, Britain, and in the 60s and 80s have led to deep reforms. That's a lie right there. So they lying. Okay. Anyway, made in the USA, but rehabilitation in France. One person who may be uniquely qualified to reflect on the riots that convulsive France in the is Marvin McNair, 74-year-old Black American who has lived in exile for more decades after he hijacked a plane to flee U.S. racism and police violence. U.S. Today has previously written in detail about McNair's complex story. Okay, I am at peace within what I did in 1972, helped hijack a plane and joined Black Panthers in Algeria. After serving time in prison in France, McNair retained social working and devoted his life to mentoring troubled French youth. The kid he mentored also similarly in the ones who have been participating in this last bout of unrest in France. France Interior Minister Gerald said on Monday that the average age of the 3,200 people arrested was just 17. I told you, our youth, whether you believe it or not, it's going to take our youth doing some things that's going to straighten this shit out, just going to straighten this whole country out. Our youth are going to be the one that's going to do it. Whether you believe it or not, just watch and see. Some of the youth, young as 12 years old, have been setting fires in the streets in France. McNair, who is retired, is still wanted by the U.S. Department of Justice for his role in the hijacking of Delta 841 in 1970. But his social worker job, he came into frequent contact with both French policing systems and the country disadvantaged children from the boundaries. He is now known in France as Mr. Baseball because he often used the sports as a way to get through kids who had little respect for authority government institutions. Okay, I'm not going to read all of it. Let me see. I think Yeah, well, I guess I can. Hold on. I got to find out where I left out there. Hold on. Government institutions. Okay. In an interview, he said that there is no question of country policemen's needed reform. He said police need more skills and training. That's not true. To know how to respond to youth. That's not true in just underprivileged communities. If you don't care about something, you don't care how you treat them. Just like the dude said with the teachers, same goes for the police officers. If you don't live in the community, if you're not around Black children, you don't know how to treat Black children. Because when you go to the academy, you begin to think that everybody Black you come in contact with is criminals. Okay, but this is neither here nor there. Okay. However, McNair has reluctant to describe French police, as many French commentators and experts have in recent days, as institutionalized or systematical racist. Okay, there are many. So how can you retrain a racist? You can't retrain a racist. You fire their asses and you get somebody else up in there. There are many police officers in France who are racist, who have extreme right wing views, who are opposed to immigration and don't want more Muslims here. But it's not everywhere, said McNair. He always I hate Black folk that's got to say stuff and then they try to correct it by saying, oh, but no, but nothing. Just leave it. You said it. Shut up and leave it. There's police that are frustrated too. Now you're gonna make it okay for the. Don't talk out of both ends of your butt. I'm just saying they want to find solutions. No, they don't. He added. McNair, who also reluctantly to draw direct comparison between racially tinged police violence in the U.S. and France through the views U.S. police violence against minorities as far more enriched and problematic. Okay, I'm done. I think I'm done. Collective race-based illegal in France is a part of so-called colorblind laws, but it's estimated that out of a population of 68 million, France has about 6 million residents of Arab descent and 4 million Black people. And they have what's the third fatal shooting by French police during the traffic stop this year, according to French media. In the U.S., last year, 86 people were killed during traffic stops, according to an analyst by the BBC that used data for mapping police violence, a public data that tracks the work of law enforcement. Black people are almost 3 times as likely to be killed by police than white people in the U.S., according to the database. So don't let white folk tell you that it's more white folk dying by the handguns or by police hands than Black folk. We're hearing it right now that it's not true. Still, McNair said that the situation with France police was not getting better, and that there needed to be a wholesome revamping of the balance between education, prevention, and possession. Okay, he boils down to haves and have-nots. Okay, but so it is cold, comfortable this is cold comfort to Nahum's family. I don't blame the police, his mother's. See, this is what you say. See, this is what you don't say. You don't say I don't blame the police when you know it's out now racism. Then I don't stop because you're not blaming me. See, so whatever. I'm done. Okay, I blame the man who took my son's life. He saw the face of an Arab, a little kid, and wanted to take his life. The Arab was a police officer, so he said she don't blame the police. Okay, so don't blame the police for your son dying. Okay, whatever. Anyway, but okay, family, I'm coming back over here because I'm done sharing. I'm gonna stop sharing now, but I just wanted I wanted you to see something that was going on in France. Highly favored, you just getting down over here. Let's see what you're talking about. I didn't even know you was over here. I heard they even let the animals loose in the zoo. What are you talking about? What? Highly favored. What are you talking about? On Lisa Gabir YouTube channel, she's spilled the tea. Europe is doing bad, but like you said, you're not talking about it frequently enough. Let it burn. Oh boy, that's funny. Yeah, I'm reading some comments over here. Holla, baby, you get down. They won't be nothing but hide up under her. What is say a white non-Black woman been doing it for thousands of years. They're always talking about negative. our stats. But yeah, but you already know it's more of us than them. I don't know why they keep telling Black people, oh, it's only 13% of y'all. Do you actually believe that we Black folk have never had babies over the whole 400 or 500 years we've been here? Do you really believe that we're not having babies? Everybody come here, they have babies, they grow, right? But Black people, oh, it's just 13% of y'all. It's been 13% of us since we've been here. So that means we have a baby, we die. We have a baby, we die. We have a come on, you guys. Y'all, come on. It's over 10 billion people, 10 billion in Africa alone. Okay, Black folk. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm done. I hope you guys enjoy. Y'all go back to the beginning. Y'all got to hear what happened to me. It was really something that really was life-changing that happened to me this weekend. And I want you guys to hear about it, but because I want you guys to think about let's not take life for granted. Okay. But I'm glad everybody, I appreciate everybody that joined. I really hope that my videos are giving you something to think about. It's all about Black families. I'm a daycare provider. We're having babies. Yes, we are having babies, honey. We are having lots of them. Okay. Thank you for a cast. But I hope and pray that you guys are learning something. It's not just a video. I'm trying to teach us basics. Let's bring it back to the basics of how we need to teach and educate our children. We're going to talk about how they are destroying our Black boys. We're going to talk about that. Okay, that might be the next one that I talk about. I had something else scheduled, but I think I'm going to talk about that because we need to know that. How are they destroying our Black babies, our boys? Okay. But thank you so much, family. I couldn't do it without you. I appreciate you guys. Oh, excuse me for coming. I appreciate you guys for just listening to me talk. I don't know why sometimes I be wanting y'all to join, but you don't want to join. So I guess y'all like hearing me talk all day. Okay, I'll do it. But y'all have a great one. I don't know. I think I'm going to try to come back this weekend. This Saturday, me and my brother Muhammad, we're going to do a series, and it's going to be on the Black family. I think it's going to start at 7 o'clock on Saturday. 7 o'clock on Saturday. It's going to be me and brother Muhammad, and I think he's going to have a panel, and I'm going to be on that panel. So I hope you guys will look out. I'm going to try to put it on my live at the same time. I think I know how to do it. But I hope you guys are subscribed to Brother Maurice Muhammad's page and channel. That's an awesome, amazing brother. I tell you, he loved him some Black folk. I hope you guys are subscribed so that you guys can find it, or I will have it on my page after the debate. I'm gonna try to stream it at the same time as I do as I'm on his show. I think I can do it. I'll see. I don't know how. I'll see if I can do it. I'll let him talk me through it. But I hope you guys join us. It's gonna be good. Next, it's gonna be Saturday coming up, 7 o'clock. So y'all stay tuned. Okay. Peace, family. I'm out. Y'all have a good one. I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys for coming in. I appreciate you guys for taking your time out to hear this boring woman. Y'all take care. Oh Lord, till next week.